Hello there. Welcome to the main event on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. Directly to my left is Anthony Alford, and then completely on my left is Eli Moon. I am Rob Rozycki, and thanks for tuning in and trying to make sense of this sports week along with us. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
I'm doing great.
I'm not. We keep losing. We keep losing. This kind of sucked being a sports fan, except for the Buckeyes. Buckeyes handle business as always, but Guardians. I know we're going to talk about them a little later on, and then the rest of my day was great after 1:00.
I had a great day.
I think that was the nice thing, the silver lining of this team. And of course we were talking about the Cleveland Browns being on at 9:00 in the morning, 3,000 miles away in London, England. Is that after all the misery transpired, you had time to kind of go about the rest of your day?
Yeah, I thought, fellas, like I said, I had a great day. The Browns went 9:30. Didn't have much expectation going into the game, and ultimately, we lost. Okay, that's what happens in Cleveland when you're watching the Browns. But I think it was progress. And I think that's what I take away from today's game. Two things: disappointment, but progress.
Okay. Yeah, let's start there. Well, I know you guys have been itching to talk about this pretty much our entire pre-show meeting. Browns go down to the Vikings 21-7. And Eli, you said it yourself, there wasn't a lot of expectation really going into this game or going into the season, if you want to look at it. And I'm trying to figure out really why everyone's using this London game as the straw that broke the camel's back, as the, oh my God, the season's done. I saw on Double A's own social media that this might mean the end of the season. And I could probably argue that the season never really started to begin with.
Double A, Rob, I'd say this. My take on it is, at the end of the day, I think we got too caught up in the love of Joe Flacco, and we had no other choice because, apparently the rookie quarterbacks weren't ready to go out there and do it week one against the worst defense in the NFL. So we tried to Dillon Gabriel out today. And you know what? I'm frustrated ultimately as an NFL fan who supports their hometown team. How can you not be? But I worked at the 9 to 5 today, and you know what? The overall tone was, you know what? But they looked a lot better. And a Double A, I know you probably don't like that, but at the end of the day, let's consider this. This is the first time Kevin Stefeanski, since Baker Mayfield, has had a young quarterback that he can actually try to turn into the future of the team. And ultimately, yes, he made some questionable plays. Not having Judkins in the second quarter near the end where they could have got 7 instead of 3. Maybe we're talking a different game, but this is the first time he has a chance to groom his guy. Everybody said all offseason, all preseason, this is his guy, Dillon Gabriel. So let him get his coaching on.
Yeah, because if you look at the box score, and Double A, I know you're chomping right now, but if you look at the box score, it looked pretty promising. Dillon Gabriel, 19 to 33, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Judkins with his first career 100-yard game. Things did look okay enough, I think, for the Browns offense, especially compared to what they were doing before. Why are we so irritated with this particular loss?
I think in this case, it's how the game ended. It's all you have to do is close things out. And I could point to the drive that started with, 3 minutes and 27 seconds left in the game. And all you got to do, eat up the clock, get a first down, wrap the game up. And first down, second down, you run the ball, final stop. Minnesota burnt 2 timeouts. And then the third down, Stefanski calls for a pass. Gabriel overshoots the receiver. The clock stops. We only take away 11 seconds from the clock. And Minnesota kept the timeout. I think the issue is we're not arguing whether or not these guys can develop. It's obvious that this offense looked respectable today compared to what we've seen with Joe Flacco. It was worth watching. But the problem, it's the same problem all this time. end of game lack of adjustments. Minnesota made adjustments. We did not on the offensive side. And I think that's what fans are sick of. That's kind of what I'm sick of. And I want to side with Eli in terms of, hey, Dylan Gabriel is Stefanski's guy and give him the opportunity. Time is running out fast. Time is running fast.
So what you're basically saying is that, yes, we've had development out of the quarterback. We've had development out of the running back. The receiver still can't catch the ball, but that's another story. We just need development now out of the head coach. And it seems like he needs to get better along with his team, because it seems like a lot of this clock management stuff and personnel problems are not new issues for Stefanski. And we got to remember, he's not a first or second year head coach. He has been there, done that, and been around the block, whatever, cliche you want to use. Sooner than later, he's going to have to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, it's like, let's run down who Kevin Stefanski's had. I addressed this on an earlier show this year, but let's run down the quarterbacks Kevin Stefanski's had since he signed his contract here, 5-year deal with the Browns in 2020. He's had Baker Mayfield, who most will say, that him and Baker never meshed. It wasn't his guy. So then you had Case Keenum. Obviously, when Baker got hurt, you had Case Keenum, Nick Mullins do some fill-in work. Then you had Jacoby Brissett, Deshaun Watson, then coming back from his suspension. He has some Dorian Thompson-Robinson, in 23 and a little bit of 24. P.J. Walker, Joe Flacco, Jeff Driscoll, Jameis Winston, Bailey Zappi, now Gabriel. This is his first chance to groom a rookie quarterback, his guy. And at the end of the day, it's like, what are we looking for out of Stefanski? Because I do agree, AA. I'm not going to sit here and say he was perfect during the game. Like I said, not having a guy who ran for over 100 yards today, 122, I believe the exact number for Quinshon Judkins. I might be off by a yard or two, but he had over 120 rushing yards. 110? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, little off. Maybe one more first down would have saved us. But at the end of the day, Judkins still the more impressive back. You don't have him in at the end of the game or the end of the half. And that's disappointing. But let's not act like our all-world defense didn't give up an 80-yard touchdown drive. That's big, man. To Carson Wentz, who hasn't been really relevant, and people forgot he was playing in the league. So that's my thing, is like, we haven't had a clear direction for Kevin Stefanski to go out and just coach. When he got here, there was already the guy we thought was the franchise quarterback. Then it turned into, let's go for it all since this isn't your guy. Let's go get somebody that's a star right now. And it didn't work with the Deshaun Watson. So since then, bless you, Rob. But since then, we've had journeymen, bless you. We've had journeymen for the most part and a little Flacco magic. And this is the first time he's had a chance. But really, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, I'm like, what do you want from me? Because when I got here, it was, we need to go to the playoffs. I took you there. Then it's, well, none of us like the guy, maybe he's included, but we don't like the guy that's at quarterback. So we're going to go get somebody that you do rock with. And then the Deshaun Watson turns into a big mess. And now we finally are getting a chance to rebuild. So Kevin Stefanski's gone through like basically 2 or 3 rebuilds since he's been here. Still the only coach to take us to the playoffs. So
but he's the reason why they've had to go through some of the rebuilds. Like it or not, the quarterback that he didn't have time for, the quarterback that he didn't want to deal with, is probably your MVP of the league after 5 games. Straight up. I mean, I don't know Baker right Mayfield. Now, Daniel Jones or Baker Mayfield.
Right.
And it's weird that I'm saying that in 2025.
No, 100%.
So I don't know how much of a break you want to give Kevin Stefanski for not having a quarterback, being that he was part of the decision-making process that jettisoned the only real quarterback he's had since he started here.
Well, the one problem I have here, all right, this is Dylan Gabriel's first game, 33 pass attempts. Judkins is a legitimate weapon, not only running the ball, but we found out today, hey, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. Put him out on a flat route, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. The problem again, though, you're putting this kid out with all these pass attempts. We were even talking when Nick Chubb and Baker were here, we had conversations about, hey, you know what? Baker should only throw the ball 20 times a game. If Baker's throwing the ball 20 times a game, Nick Chubb is getting carries. Kareem Hunt, when he was here, was getting carries. Again, you're putting this kid out 33 pass attempts, which gives Mike Tomlin 33 looks for film.
I get that, but he threw 33 pass attempts and didn't throw one to the other team. He didn't turn the ball over. It didn't look like the game was bigger than Gabriel. I think we could say And this is probably the best thing you could say about any rookie in his debut is that they didn't lose the game because of him. So
right. This is not a shot at Gabriel because Gabriel performed. I think he did a pretty good job. I do see limitations. The height is a concern, and I could just picture when we do this show next week, man, how many batted balls from the Pittsburgh defensive line. I'm just envisioning how the show's going to go next week. But Gabriel did his job. The issue with Stefeanski is the execution. You got Junkins. You got Ford, who could have done even more in the backfield, who could have done even more to kind of balance things out. The second half, the offense, especially in fourth quarter, it stalled out again because you're calling pass plays too many times. The Vikings defense is fast. So you're trying to go for those play actions. They're in the backfield. It's tough. There's no diversity in the play calling.
You called 35 pass plays today, and you called 32 runs. So I'd say that's actually pretty damn balanced when you get down to it. Are you saying that they need to throw more of a run-heavy attack at it? Because it seemed like, again, it was the offense. The offense execution was fine, which is weird to say. The defense, by and large, I know they gave up the one drive, but can you really yell at an NFL team for giving up 21 points? I don't know about that.
I can yell at an NFL defense who's number one ranked for not being able to make the critical stops at the end of the game when they're supposed to be the number one effing defense in the National Football League. I can make that argument because they failed. I mean, like, we win this game if this defense can make stops, and they didn't. And that always happens here.
I think this too, and I know it's not going to get any talk probably past today, but why did we go away from Harold Fannin? He had 4 targets the entire game, gets in the end zone the opening drive, and I know I've mentioned his name a few times throughout the last few weeks, but that's one of my biggest gripes with the game is we probably have one of the better young tight ends in the league. Whether the league wants to acknowledge it or not, I think he's one of the on potential, and when he gets the ball, he makes plays. I think if you get look, he got 4 targets, caught every single one of them, right? Meanwhile, we are still feeding the ball to guys that can't catch the football. Whether it's Jerry Jeudy, who had 4 targets today as well, dropped 2 of them, missed 2 of them, and Isaiah Bond. Everybody's been, going crazy for Isaiah Bond. We gave him a guaranteed deal as an undrafted rookie. He got 8 targets today, caught 2 of them. So I just think we should have went with the sure hands, and I don't know why, if it was obviously play calling, but I think putting Harold Fannin and getting him the ball more, good things are going to happen. We continue to say it week after week. The best 2 players on this offense are the 2 rookies, Fannin and Judkins. You get them involved more, there's a chance you win some football games. So I think that's a big thing too.
Well, I will say too that, with the idea of trying to get Fannin involved more, I mean, if you know that the best pass catcher that the Browns have is the rookie tight end, I honestly think Kevin O'Connell probably knows that too. And yes, a lot of the targets came at the beginning of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if they said, all right, we're going to see if we let Jerry Jeudy beat us. We'll see if we'll let, Isaiah Bond. We'll see if we can let, any one number of receivers beat us, but we won't let that Fannin kid in the middle beat us. So I wouldn't be surprised about that. But I think that just comes down to the lack of skill players they do have, especially in the receiver room.
And I think you mentioned earlier, Rob, about what was the number of passing plays versus rushing plays? 35.
Oh, 32. You were going to make me pull up another stat. It was dead on. It was 35 to 32, yeah.
Yeah.
35 pass.
I think if it's clear that your most talented players is in your backfield, and Junkins is that dude, that number not only needs to be flipped, it needs to be inflated. Like that, you kind of have to do that. You got to saw something. Again, the numbers are there. The last time this team scored 20 points in an NFL game was the day that the Browns clinched the playoff spot against the New York Jets, December 28th, 2023. That was the last time this Browns offense scored 20 points.
Yeah.
So I can listen. I can listen to Eli in terms of, Stefeanski finally has his guy. He finally has his quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. He put him in when he was ready. I get all that. But fans want, and season ticket holders, They want to see results. They want to see an NFL offense score. We're going to talk later on about Tampa Bay and Seattle. They put up 38 and 35 points.
Okay.
Today.
Right.
We can't put up more than 17 points.
Okay. I get it. And it's like, I think it's a 17-game streak, a 16-game streak, something like that. This is, I'm going to go back to how I opened the show. I'm going to ask myself, why is this the straw that broke the camel's back? Why is this the crazy thing? This was all expected. This was a team that was offensively deficient last year. We knew it was going to walk in this year the same way because we had an octogenarian at quarterback or two rookies or Kenny Pickett. I don't know what was the better option there. This is not surprising. This offense isn't underperforming. It's just performing badly, and which is pretty much as expected. So, again, I'm trying to figure out why everyone's going crazy that the shitty offense that everybody thought was going to be shitty is actually shitty.
Because
Well, I think
because with under a minute to go, you were leading the football game. And you blew it. And again, you can point to a lot of reasons, Rob and Eli, but the fact is, I understand some of those other games, like, okay, maybe you are facing overall better competition, those kind of things. But with a minute to go, you were leading the football game. Like, this was a game where you're going to look back and be like, blew that one. And I think that's why. I think when you combine all the stuff that's been happening, the fact that you had an opportunity on national television to win the football game and you were out-coached again, I think that's the reason, Rob.
It's kind of the moment that the Tennessee Titans had this week, and they seized it. They were in a game inexplicably, somehow leading, tied right around it, and the team that they were playing, in this case, Arizona, made enough mistakes to let them back into it, and they ended up jumping on it, and the rookie quarterback got his first win. It seems like, if you go back to the last 2-3 minutes of that game, the Browns did have their chances. The Browns really did miss an opportunity, and I guess, I don't want to put it on the guys on the field in this case. I don't want to put it on the quarterback, even the receivers who were dropping everything. It seemed like it was more of a time management situation. It seemed like it was more of a Kevin Stefeanski acting like he didn't have control over his own sideline. And that, again, bringing back his resume and how long he's been in Cleveland and a head coach in general, that's a little concerning. Liam Cohen, I would expect that out of, or, the kid in Tennessee, the Callahan's son. I understand new head coaches have new problems. This is a new head coaching problem for an old head coach.
But I think it also falls on the Browns for not having having a lack of consistency in all areas. Because if you look at the Browns since 2020, in 2020, they had the franchise quarterback. We got rid of him. We also had a franchise running back. And yes, I get it. Nick Chubb had a catastrophic leg injury. Nobody saw it coming. I get it. But you also gave up on Kareem Hunt, and then he went to the Super Bowl the next year with the Kansas City Chiefs. So they had a running game. Then they did have some semblance of a receiving core. They've had a strong defense, but it's never at the same time. So, I'm listening to you guys' points, and, I guess, the biggest thing is, the Double-A, I get you want to run heavy offense, bro, but, at the same point in time, look at what we're trotting out there. This was, the first time, I think, that we've had somewhat of a starting lineup in terms of offensive linemen, guys that aren't going to be off the team or on the practice squad next week. So when you know that you aren't really strong offensive line-wise, and right now Isaiah Bond, Jerry Jeudy, they're dropping catches left and right. They're going to put 8 in the box, Double-A. So, I get what you're saying, but we can't do that because it's not going to succeed until these guys catch the ball. That's what it comes down to. If anything, I think there is a lot of positive. The quarterback, Gabriel, and I'll say it on air. I was not big on Dylan Gabriel. I didn't think he was going to have a good game. I really was very pessimistic about it. But he impressed me for what he did. Judkins continues to impress fan and getting in the end zone. That's things to look forward to. I just think this highlights, kind of to Rob's point, that we never thought this team was going to win 10, 11, 12 games. I get what you're saying. We need to win these to build the winning culture. but I think there were some good takeaways. And this is it for Kevin Stefeanski. If you can't show that this is a quarterback that we can build with, well, this was your guy. Then I'm okay getting rid of him. But at the end of the day, if Kevin Stefeanski can guide Dillon Gabriel to where he looks like, okay, this guy can lead the future, you give him one more offseason to build around him.
You do know what's about to happen, though, right? The both of you know this. We've covered the Browns for a long time. You do know what's about to happen, right? You do know
what's
this
that?
is
What's
going to
that?
be, right? Like, this is Pittsburgh.
What, collarbone injury?
Oh, you dirty hit our players every year?
I haven't hit one Browns player in my life. I have never hit a Browns player.
We've been on air for 20 mintes, and I'm already sick of you.
Yeah.
Be quiet, Steeler, man.
No, that's.
I made that joke forgetting that it was the Steelers. I was just assuming that actually what I think could happen with Gabriel on this one, and if you want to check out my podcast on the show's podcast on WTM.com, we were talking about this, that Dillon Gabriel has kind of the chance, and even if it's Shador in a few weeks, to do the most Browns thing possible. And it filters into what Eli was saying with his plan here. Hey, give him the full off season, let him figure it out, let him get into it. There's one big problem with that move. Actually, two.
What's that?
One's the Browns and the other one's the Jaguars. First round picks. And this is what I'm talking about with the most Browns thing possible. Gabriel is just good enough to give you hope, to give Anthony hope, to give Kevin Stefeanski hope, and they don't know where this thing's at. He doesn't have C.J. Stroud's rookie year, but he also doesn't have Anthony Richardson's rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
And they are kind of in this quarterback quagmire again. And no matter what they do, this fan base will be fractured again, because you will have team rookie, a guy that just whatever first round pick that got drafted, and then you'll have team Shador or team Gabriel or whoever is sitting there, and you'll have this fan base fighting over again. Did we do the right thing by drafting a quarterback? Did we do the right thing by not drafting a quarterback? So as much as we would like to see this play out over multiple years, they have to figure this out by week 18 this year, because they're not going to get this kind of a crack again. I don't think the fan base wants them to get this kind of a crack
But
again.
I disagree.
You're going to have to win 2 games the previous year.
But I disagree, because this team isn't good enough to win football games, even with Dillon Gabriel. We know that because we don't have enough guys to catch the football consistently.
So why are we pissed? Why are we pissed today?
No.
I'm not.
You've
You've heard me the whole segment. I'm not.
No, I disagree with that. We were good enough to win today. And the coaches blew it. We were out-coached. We were good enough to win today.
Fair, Double A. But
So what you're saying is they are who they thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Double A saying we asked.
Let them off the hook. Well, let me ask you guys this, though, to spin this forward, because, you see on Twitter, Kevin Stefeanski should be like, there's a lot of fans who's had enough of Kevin Stefeanski.
Yeah, that was the first few things I saw on social media.
Yeah, they've had enough. And I want to read this here from Jeff L.J. Lloyd. Quote, he said here, Kevin Stefeanski should be fired after putting the game in the hands of the number 1 defense in the NFL against Carson Wentz and an offensive line missing 4 starters, 80 yards from pay dirt. Some of you are nuts. Dan Orlowski from ESPN replied and said, go ahead, fire him. He'll be hired in 1 day by somebody else.
By Jerry Jones.
Now,
anybody.
No, Kevin Stefeanski, let's face it here. He is quiet enough and subservient enough. He would make a great Dallas Cowboys head coach. He really, yes, Jerry.
Would be an
no matter whatever you need, Jerry. Dak will do it, Jerry. No problem. He would be great at that.
He Stephen A. would hate it because you can't. There's no material.
No, it's but he would be amazing. Yes, Daddy. Whatever you need, he would be great at that.
Are we? This is going to be a harsh question, but I have to address it in this way. Are we just keeping Stefeanski out of fear that if you let him go, somebody else will pick him up tomorrow?
I don't think so.
No.
I think we are keeping a guy that has been to the playoffs twice in his 5 years of being here and is finally getting his first chance at a rookie quarterback. And I guess like ultimately my thing is like, okay, if you fire him, and I guess it kind of goes to your thing, Double A, it's like you fire him, you know, who you're going to find, but that's not like a fear. It's just a reality of life. Like who is out there right now that hasn't been a retread that is going to come in and fix this Cleveland Browns organization? Give the guy that is built and been with us and chose us when not a lot of teams wanted or coaches wanted to be in Cleveland. He had a lot of suitors and he chose the Cleveland Browns. Allow him to get one chance with this rookie quarterback and the offseason to build with, I think, at least one top 10 pick, which will be the Browns pick because they're not going to win a lot of football games, but they'll develop, and I think you get one more chance. That's why I think it's not a fear, Double A, it's just a fact of life. There is nobody out there that is going to be better than Kevin Stefeanski, and the guy has taken us to the playoffs. So I think it's not like we're agreeing or deciding to keep somebody that's been 5-11, 7-10 on the cusp of being good. This guy's proven he can get us to postseason football. Not many coaches since 2000 can say that, or 99, excuse me.
Well, playoff coaches get fired all the time. That happens around the league. Coaches of the year get fired all the time. I know he has 2 of those awards. I think he's around right now because of what happened with the quarterback spot a few years ago. I think as much as I want to blame Kevin Stefeanski for Baker getting jettisoned out of town, which I think he did have a lot to do with, I don't think he had a whole hell of a lot of call in bringing Deshaun Watson in. And I don't think Andrew Berry did either. And I think their continued employment is evidence of that. If you had Stefeanski or Berry beating on Jimmy Haslam's door saying, all right, we need to get this kid from Houston, we need to make this happen, this has to go, then one of them would have got fired when this thing went biblically bad, when this thing was like the book of Revelations in football terms. One of them would have got fired. And so it makes sense to me that the guy who decided to bring Watson in was the only guy who couldn't get fired. So I think that's why they have given Stefeanski and Berry both insanely long leashes for a team that, remember, this was the same Haslam that was, firing guys in and out 1 year, 2 years, in and out, no problem. I mean, guys were moving, and I think that might be a little bit of it too, is that he's overcompensating for having such a quick trigger the first decade he owned the team. So now he's going to say, all right, we'll find a guy and stick with him. And Kevin Stefeanski is not perfect, but has not done enough himself to embarrass the team to warrant him getting fired. That's pretty much. So he's kind of in a perfect situation at this point for a head coach. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think he will be the coach as it stands right now, week 1 of next year. So I don't think there's a real, and that might be a bad thing. That might be that, there's no fire lit under his ass. That might be a little bit of a complacency, breeds laziness on that one.
I hope you're right. I don't know why. I just see if the Browns lose to Pittsburgh next Sunday and he is let go he will be let go if they lose to Pittsburgh on Sunday.
But you got to say, okay, the thing is, though, like, how realistic is that? We have just talked about how in the preseason ramp up for this team, this thing was so shitty that this offense wasn't going to move. And right now, the Steelers are leading the division. They are one of the best teams statistically anyway in the AFC. And you're going to expect a team that had literally no expectations and haven't given you any reason to change them in 5 games to go in to Pittsburgh on the road and win and say, okay, if you lose that game, you're fired. Is that what we're saying?
Because I think he's on the hot seat right now. I disagree.
Why would he be?
I think he's on the hot because he can't prove that he can build an offense. I would like to think that he does get the opportunity, but when you go a whole calendar year without putting points on the board and you're an offensive coach,
but you also
have a $70 million dead cap, noose hanging around this team right now.
I understand that.
I understand that they have put themselves in this situation, but you got to remember, like, this is not really conducive to winning.
I understand that, but you got fans turning away from the product. And again, we talked about this with like other sports. Like last week, we led with the Guardians. Soon enough, the Cavaliers are going to come to town. Like they're going to be ready to go. And that's a championship ready-made team. And we're going to start talking Cavs. We're going to start talking a little bit about what's going on with the guard. So the Browns want to always be the top story. And if they're not seeing results and you have a full calendar year of not being able to score more than 17 points, where in the NFL, teams routinely score in the 20s and 30s. If that's not the case, yeah, it ain't fair, but fans aren't going to the games.
Here's my final double A. I hear you.
And they haven't, and real quick about the whole Pittsburgh going on the road thing, they haven't won in Pitt. Here's the other thing on Stefanski's record and every other coach's record that's been here. They haven't won in Pittsburgh, a W, since 2003. So there are older fans here that still care deeply, for whatever reason, about the Browns-Steelers rivalry that has not gone well at all in Pittsburgh. So to me, it's a matter of, if you believe he's on the hot seat right now, that his behind will be on fire if this offense struggles again, or can't put points on the board, I should say, next Sunday.
I just think you're sending him into a suicide mission. That's all.
My final point.
He's there now. No. I'm sorry, Eli. He's there now. He's there. If he would have won, if he would have won against Minnesota today, we're not having this conversation. The coaching staff, including Jim Schwartz, blew this game. We're not having this conversation if they would have beat Minnesota today. But it's a snowball. And eventually it will hit rock bottom if things don't turn around. And it's always Pittsburgh. The track record is there. It is always Pittsburgh. You lose against Pittsburgh, S word will hit the fan. And you can
say shit. It's fine.
My mom watches. I can't say that.
Well, also, too, just so you know that, and I don't want to get too current eventy or anything like that, but while the government is currently shut down, folks at the FCC are not picking up phones to answer complaint calls. So
my mother is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a complaint call that you'll be picking up.
That's absolutely right.
I'm sorry, Eli. Go ahead. I know
you're okay. No, you guys are okay. I just guess like my final point on this, just being open and honest here with two of my bros. I'm more invested in the Cleveland Browns right now than I was over the last 2-3 years, knowing that Deshaun Watson was going to be the starting quarterback for the team. I still supported the Cleveland Browns because that's my hometown team, but I was checked out, and I didn't get as mad when Deshaun Watson would make terrible bonehead plays for this team, because honestly, and I know everybody knows his off the field stuff by now. We don't need to address it, but as somebody who I guess I respect the women in my life. I am an advocate for treating people with respect. I was cool watching that guy be the starting quarterback of my team. So I'll rock with the Dylan Gabriel experience. I still want my guy Shador to get in there eventually. But if Gabriel's the guy, Gabriel's the guy. I'm invested in the Rooks, and I'm having fun. Did we lose today? Yeah, it sucked. I hate losing. But I still had a good time seeing the team develop. And I at least know it seems like the Deshaun Watson era is over. That's my final point. I'm invested again.
And I can see that too, why it is interesting. And for me, even though I'm not really a Browns fan, it's kind of interesting too, because, Deshaun Watson was the asteroid. The team was the dinosaurs. You had basically that extinction level event. And right now you're watching, the flora and the fauna come back slowly. You're seeing life kind of come back and repopulate and grow again. And you're seeing it kind of happen from the ground up. And that's why I'm kind of sitting here with tempered expectations with this team about, hey, okay, yeah, they should have won against Minnesota, but the team is not expecting to win. It's a bad situation right now. So wins and losses aren't ultimately what I'm looking at. But it seems like right now the Browns are trying to make sense of life after Deshaun, and it's not going to be neat and tidy and completely storybook-esque. It's going to be sloppy. You're going to fall down. You're going to get back up. And it's going to be a fun and probably very frustrating to watch.
I'm just ready. After that analogy, I just want to do a science podcast. I feel way behind.
You guys want to build? Do you want to build that habitat? Okay, so in third. All right, I know we got to go to break. But third grade, my dad helped me build this. Shout out Papa Moon. But he built this habitat for me. I took first, just so you know. It was sick. I didn't do a thing though.
That's
but
the only point of the story.
we should-
First,
We should do something like that on the main event. We should all create a habitat to see whose is the best.
Oh, put like a little diorama back behind me here, yeah, with little
Look,
construction paper dinosaurs.
look,
That'll work.
I have my old solar system. I think it's at mom's. I have an old solar system project back when it was 9 planets.
Yes. We can talk about that'll be off season talk.
It's about Pluto. Okay.
Pluto, shit end of the stick. We'll talk about that after the break.
Yeah.
But we'll get into we can talk about Pluto if you want after the break here. We also got a lot of baseball coverage and a lot of baseball games happening right now. Actually, I believe the National League or American League right now is playing in their wild card series. Sadly, Cleveland is not in that particular round, and we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the fallout of that, why that didn't happen, and all that joyous stuff. It seems like in Cleveland we are pretty good at the knocked out of the playoffs eulogy kind of show. So we will do that for a few minutes coming back here also too. What we have learned today, and I think we'll be enlightened by a few of the ideas that we've had here. I got some college football thoughts that are I think we need to remember things and take it with a grain of salt when we get new information and analytics. But yes, we got Anthony Alford, we got Eli Moon. I am Rob Rozycki. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. Smoke him if you got him. We'll be right back here after a break from hopefully our sponsors, but you can be one too. We'll be back. Hey, everybody. This is the main event back here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. I am Rob Rozycki, wondering why we don't have some sort of countdown to get us back into this, but we have also Anthony Alford and Eli Moon. How was your break, gentlemen?
Rob, that's on me. I forgot to put the break countdown in the break thing.
We do have. I thought we didn't have one for breaks, but okay, you're fine.
Next time we'll break. Break was good. I got a non-sponsored caffeinated beverage that won't be getting any plug till they sponsor us, but pretty tasty. How was yours, Double A?
Spring water. Spring water is the way to go. If you're not drinking, caffeine. Segment 1 was iced coffee.
Okay.
Segment 2 will be spring water. Segment 3 might be more iced coffee. I usually just do hot coffee, but it's late and it's already. I don't even have the fans run. Oh, I didn't tell you guys. I think Rob, you both know. You guys were here for the first few shows. My fan broke a month ago.
That's unfortunate.
Ooh. Did you throw it during a Browns game?
No, not this time. It's just died. The motor didn't turn over. It was the end of the line. I was heartbroken. And I thought, man, I don't have to replace this until like April because it's going to cool down.
Yeah.
It never cooled down.
Yeah, I got windows open, fans on, everything else in here. Yeah, we're not turning the AC on. So, yeah, it's we're not doing that in October. We're just not.
Hold on. Rob, do you have central air?
Yeah.
I see the bill can like skyrocket because of that central air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're done with that. I mean, I think it topped out at like 82 today, so I think we were okay. And yeah, I got windows and fans, and we're fine with that.
Can I just say my biggest gripe of the entire summer is I didn't get as tan as I thought I would.
Hold up, Eli. Hold up. You did all your shows inside, Eli.
Yeah.
As music shows tend to happen, yes.
Till they are outside. It's outside soon.
You gotta do Bash at the Beach or something. Bash at Edgewater or something.
I think he's Freddie Mercury at Live Aid or something right now.
I have some. I know we're about to talk about some real riveting stuff here. I will just say I have some really on the music side. I have some real cool stuff that I'll probably talk about on the show for 2026. I'm really excited. But yes, I was in Texas outside. That's the closest I got to like heat, and I thought I was getting a tan, but it was really just a sunburn.
I was just outside in Hilton Head for 6-7 days, so yeah, we were good to go with that. But yeah, here we are. We are fine.
Hey, Eli. I don't know if Rob will be up to this, but Eli, you gotta do those walks with me, man.
I'm with you, but you walk like 10 miles, dude.
Dude, I'd be going. No. So hold up. I made a mistake. I walked the trail over here in Bedford, and I forgot one little detail. Like, I'm going to do 5 miles. Cool. I forgot one little detail.
You gotta walk back.
You gotta walk back.
Yeah.
You gotta walk back. The car doesn't magically end up in your end destination. You have to walk the other 5 miles back.
Well, that's one thing. Like I always, like if we ever did like travel shows or something like that, like you see like the Explorer expedition shows. They go deep into the bowels of whatever cave and they're crawling through, passages that are like this big or whatever. And what they don't say to anybody is that once the cameras stop rolling, everyone has to pack up and be like, all right, assholes, now we got to do it all again. Let's go home.
Dude.
I have no problem with like taking road trips. I love road trips. I could drive as far as I want. There's only one problem. You got to turn around and head back to Cleveland.
Well, and we'll get back to it in a second here. Did you ever watch that show Survivor Man back in the day? With like the one
like Bear
out in the middle
Grylls?
of nowhere.
Bear Grylls, yeah.
No, it wasn't Bear Grylls. It was Les Stroud was the guy's name.
Oh,
and unlike Bear, he didn't have a crew. So like he would, you get like this whole, shot of him climbing up a mountain or whatever. He would do the shot. And since he has no camera guy, he had to walk all the way back down, grab the camera, and then do the whole thing again off air. So like every time he was like going through like Yosemite or, the Amazon jungle, he was basically doing it twice. And,
I think,
yeah. Go ahead, Eli.
I know we got to get back to sports because we got a lot to talk about, but I will say this. We should do a main event like triathlon next year and see who can finish the best. Like canoeing. I'm not good at canoeing. Not good at canoeing.
So you're
Swimming,
talking
not
like
the best.
Battle of the Network Stars and shit, like tug of
Yeah.
war and
Hold up. I'm already
free throw contests.
I gotta learn how to swim first. I gotta veto the swimming. I'm sorry.
Me too, but like we're learning together. Like
I was going to make a joke about reverting a stereotype, but since Moon screwed that up, I guess we'll move on.
I can't swim. What do you want me to say?
No. I know where Rob was going with that.
I do too. Anyways.
I knew he was going. He's like, this will not take place in Kalahari.
No, and for whatever reason, I will not elaborate why, if we do have a swimming contest, me and Eli would be the favorites, and if we had a free throw shooting contest, you would be the favorite. So, I mean, we can try hockey.
Hold up. Can we replace like some of the athletic components of this with like other, recreational activities that?
Yeah, like who can smash a chicken quesadilla the fastest?
Well, I was also thinking too that instead of like a quarterback throwing competition, we just settle it over a rigorous game of Madden. I think that would work just as well.
I was gonna say Mario Kart.
I can do that too. Tetris with the rocks and shit out.
I think we got into an argument for like a few days because I lost on like an overtime thriller in Madden like 2012 when we were playing it. Like
I remember. Yes, you were talking junk to me the entire first half, up by 30 points, and then as Madden tends to do, it changed around. And I remember you didn't talk to me for like 2 days.
America, and then we'll get to America's pastime here. But look, Rob was holding the controller like I don't have a controller. He was holding it upside down, bro. He didn't even know what to. It's like he learned how to like coach better than Kevin Stefeanski in the second half. Anyways,
hold up. You got blue shelled. That's exactly what happened. You got blue shelled.
I just like to think that it was somebody who has played Madden long before you were even born. I think the skill just kind of came through in the second half, and I figured everything out, and we were all good.
I guess my question with like football coaches and even baseball managers, like Stephen Vogt, I think Stephen Vogt is your age, Rob? Like
he is actually a year younger than me. I think he is 40 or 41.
How many of these like younger managers and head coaches, football coaches, baseball coaches, how many of them learned strategy based on video games? Like in-game strategy?
I think what happens with football now is, especially football, I think you got like Mike McDaniel in Miami right now, who's probably going to get fired in the next few weeks. You have, a lot of these younger coaches that did learn how to play Madden or did learn the game through Madden. I actually, I remember reading, had been 20 years ago, an article in ESPN, the magazine, about how Penn State, even under Paterno, what they were doing was, and I don't know if you remember the old PS2 memory cards, they would give the memory card full of the Penn State playbook to the kids to have them just goof around on Madden, and they would learn on those plays or on college football or whatever. And that was kind of an instructional tool. So yeah, I think that comes into play when you're talking about guys going for it on 4th and short. I think onside kicks when they were still a thing. I think with those hyper aggressive moves that you or I would use on Madden, we're not seeing happen on the field. And I think, that's mainly because, if you're I'm a 42, 43-year-old dude. I've been playing Madden for literally 3/4 of my life. So it's been around, and it always prided itself on being an accurate simulation, or as accurate as it could be. So I'm sure it had something to do with it.
Well, MLB The Show was accurate in the sense of it did not have the Guardians moving on past the Detroit Tigers. I did see that. I did see, apparently the World Series, I think according to MLB The Show, is going to be Yankees-Phillies. Now, they might be wrong on the Yankees.
I mean, they're not really going out on a limb with that. They're if it's not the Dodgers, it's going to be the Phillies, maybe the Cubs. But, they definitely picked what I think the Phillies had the best record in the National League. So they're really not going out on a limb with that.
Right below Milwaukee. They're the 2 seed. Yep.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yep.
I mean, again, we're talking one of the power teams, though. But when you talk about the Guardians happening in MLB, The Show, or any sort of video game, they're not going to be a good team, and they're not going to be a good team for the reasons that we're about to talk about. Metrically, there's no reason why this team should have made the playoffs. There really wasn't. We were talking last week about it. I think the shock and just surprise in my voice kind of came out more than anything. But if you looked at what was happening with the team and how they were scoring runs or not scoring runs specifically, any sort of computer simulation you ran had the Guardians losing. I mean, I was looking at the last 3 weeks of the season, game by game, damn near. And even though we had won 8, 9 in a row, we were still 35% chance to win that game, 40% chance to win, 20% chance. We were breaking statistical models. And if you're talking about a video game that relies solely on statistical models, then yeah, the Guardians wouldn't do well. The Guardians, on paper, their offense absolutely is atrocious. Their pitching staff's okay. But as we saw, you have to score more than 2 or 3 runs a game to win a series.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of us saw it coming last week. Some of us had our Guardians glasses on. But at the end of the day, I'm glad we're all coming to the same conclusion, that until the team cares enough to go out and get that big bat to help out the lineup and just stop relying on prospects. Yes, the prospects are phenomenal, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Guardians have always had a good farm system. I worked for the Lake County Captains. I saw them all come all the way up. Me and Double A were manning that radio station.
Yeah, we were.
Working for that. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Like, I watched them bring those prospects up, guys, over the years, sit here and name them all. But at the end of the day, you're relying on 21-year-old kids, maybe 20-year-old kids, to take you to a World Series. This isn't a movie shot by Disney, okay? This is the MLB. And at the end of the day, like I've said this a few weeks ago, or maybe last week, about Edwin Encarnacion being the biggest free agent signing the Guardians have made, really since in recent memory.
I think that's the biggest free agent contract they've ever signed.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And that's my thing is like they don't ever go out and get a big bat. They just go, hey, Tribe fans, we signed this guy that has so much potential. When he batted against lefties, he did this, but everything else in combined, he was a 182 batting average. Like, it's just like silly BS that we do every offseason. And I'm frustrated. I was frustrated last week. This is a team I will be frustrated with, Double A and Rob, because they have been so close, actually in the World Series before in 2016, and been close a few times since to get there, and have not got the job done, and have not made an effort to get better. Instead, they try to cut payroll to just hope they can get another miraculous season. I can't wait for 26's comeback story. Here's the thing, and I know, Double A, you got a lot on your mind too.
No. I know. I'm waiting. You're laying out the plot for the new Disney film, Guardians in the Outfield.
Exactly. It's just silly. It's like, and I know, Rob, I know you'll say like, well, I remember you saying it last week. It's like, we'll get frustrated or talk about in the offseason how the Dodgers signed this guy or the Phillies signed this guy or the Cubs or whoever that's still in it. And we should be at the end of the day. We are a team, like Double A said last segment, the Browns are a team that thrives being the top story. And that's why they consistently go out and either make a fool of themselves or at least try to make something of it. Whether it was Watson was a terrible move, but they tried to make something of it. Nobody saw it being this bad. Baker, they've always tried to do things. The Guardians are okay being quiet under, in the weeds, and they don't care at the end of the day, because if they make the first round every year and get bounced like this, that's a winning season for the Guardians ownership.
I think was key. I think what this run has proven, this run in particular this year, is that this group is worth investing in. Stephen Vogt, Jose Ramirez, obviously, some of the other top star, they are worth investing in. I mean, the kid, oh my goodness, his name is slipped, but the kid, Chase, Rob.
The louder.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. When you say kid, you got to narrow it down. There's about 5 guys that fit that.
Yeah, he showed out. He showed out in the wild card. I'll give him props. He showed out. We needed that offensive firepower. Honestly, I think in a little bit to Eli's point, we got to put the fire on ownership to say, hey, this team is worth investing in. Actually build. You can do something with this, and you don't have to blow your payroll to do it. I will give credit. Adam the Bull on another platform he did mention one thing, and I think, maybe is a Pete Alonso available for first base, at first base, if you can boost the payroll just a little bit, give him a short-term contract, bring him in, solidify first base. Maybe you have something there. Again, just little moves like that where you are proving, you know what, we are trying to make this team better on top of the farm system. I think that's what fans want. They don't need to blow open the payroll, but if you add a Pete Alonso, that would be huge.
Well, okay. First, to Moon's point, I don't want to paint this organization as not caring. I think the ownership, the front office, they do care. But what I will say is that I think they have a different definition of success than Anthony, than most fans do. I think their definition of success is competitive baseball as much as possible, being in it all the time, being around it all the time. And law of large numbers, and again, I think this is them thinking this. Law of large numbers says that they should be able to win it one of those times. Think like the St. Louis Cardinals. They're masters at it. They can be in the playoffs 15 years and they win 2 World Series. Okay, we're cool. That's what I think the Guardians front office is doing and what their definition of success is. I think, yes, they want to win the World Series, but they're not as heartbroken as Anthony, as Moon, as myself for not having it happen. So that's the first point. And then, basically to what Anthony was saying, this group is definitely worth investing in. This group managed to go to the playoffs now this year and last year. Last year, we thought the offense was bad. Last year, it was about 20th in batting average. It was middle of the pack in most categories. That all significantly got worse. You name a category besides stolen base. The Guardians were either 28th, 29th, or 30th in that. It was a league worst offense. And what I'm saying here as a fan, and what they should be saying in the front office, is what happens if we have an offense that averages more than 4 hits a game? What happens if we have an offense that actually does score 4 to 5 runs consistently? What happens if we do have a guy to back up Jose Ramirez in the batting order and runners to put on for him? Because again, for Jose's production, for Jose's WAR, 85 RBIs is ridiculous. There's just not guys on base for him. All they got to do, and yes, to Moon's credit, it's not an overhaul. They don't need to have sweeping changes across the offense. What they do need, though, is to improve on a $100 million payroll when the average was 175. I'm not saying $75 million will do it. Maybe 30 would. Maybe 25, 35 would. Maybe meet them halfway home. And yes, if it is a Pete Alonso or a Kyle Schwarber or somebody along that line, which I think
that would be something.
Be realistic about it. Those guys are, even if we wanted to be aggressive this offseason, those guys are going to be pretty hard gets when you are bidding against who you're bidding against. So I wouldn't set my expectations that high, but you're looking for a quality major league bat or 2, 1 hopefully that you could stick out in right field. But you are looking, because again, we saw what happens, and when the offense did function well enough this season at points. Now, sometimes you can blame that on bad pitching, whatever. There were games they did crack double digits. Look at the box scores. It was the bottom 3, bottom 4 guys doing it. It was them setting the table for Kwani, for Jose, for Manzardo, for everybody in that top of the order. They need to just lengthen that lineup up a couple of spots and forego putting in 3 or 4 guys in some cases that are hitting under 200. One of my favorite things throughout this whole postseason run was the national guys really seeing guards ball for the first time. Dan Levitard sitting there going, did you realize the Guardians have 3 hitters under 200? I'm like, all due respect, we've had 5.
Yeah.
It's been before. We have had damn near 2/3 of this lineup under 200.
But the Guardians are okay with that.
That is guards ball. And we need to get away from that. We need to actually put some real major league hitters in this lineup and see what it will do with Jose Ramirez and this pitching staff.
Yeah, and the Guardians are okay with that, though, Rob. The Guardians are okay, like I said, with being in the weeds, not the big story in town, and first-round exits. They have spent once, that I can remember, and I keep bringing up Encarnacion. Double A, I'd love for them to go get Alonso. I'd love for them to get Schwarber. Heck, in a perfect world, they get both of them, right? But they're probably going to come up empty, and I hate being the pessimist on this show, but I watch every offseason them not never add, actually. So, and if they do add, it's a very, like, hey, this is like a contract that may work out. Maybe you start batting, 250 and
It's
we're happy.
Mike Zunino. It's Austin
Correct.
Hedges. It's
And that's
Carlos Santana.
Correct. Yeah. And that's where I'm at. It's frustrating, and I think I can't say we should hold them to the same light as the Browns, like with their track record, because it's a different track record, right? I mean, they're in the playoffs more than the Browns, clearly. But this is their track record. They are now known as perennial first-round exits. They are America's sweetheart that get bounced. And guess what? A lot of people aren't okay with that are my age, that are double A's age, that are still your age too, Rob. They're not okay with that. Like, at the end of the day, people want to win. It's cool when you have a team that is consistently around. We appreciate that. But we don't appreciate that you won't make the next step to go win it, and you have a team next door to you that will go out and do it. And that's where I'm frustrated, because at the end of the day, here's what I'll say. The Guardians would have won in 2016. We wouldn't be having this heated of a conversation about this and update. We'd be like, we'll give them a little leniency. If they would have won last year, got there and won it last year, we wouldn't be talking about this. But guess what? More criticism comes when you don't make the adjustments to win it all. That's what we play sports for. We pay millions of dollars not to have fun, to win.
And that's what I was going to say about your point here too. I don't think the win the World Series or I'm pissed off idea is bad. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's healthy. But where I can meet you at on this is the attempt. You can say what you want about the team we were talking about last break. We were about the Browns. The one thing you cannot say about Jimmy Haslam is he does, he has the stones to go for it. He will swing the bat even when he probably shouldn't be swinging the bat. But they will make that big move. I think if this team did add, and I'll just use Kyle Schwarber as an example. Pete Alonso is not a great example because with Manzardo and Capus, first base is still clogged up. So I don't know if we need, that, but we'll just use Schwarber. If you go out and grab him, if you go out and solidify the bullpen a little bit more, and maybe even another bat, maybe infield, I don't know, just somewhere. But if you were to go and actually make a couple of big aggressive moves, and this team gets knocked out in Game 5 of the ALCS, I think fans would sit better with that, because you know what? We at least swung the bat. We at least got in the box and we tried. We might have missed. We might have struck out horribly, but at least they did try to go in. Now, what the Guardians will tell you is, and I think this is kind of right, but I think they hit it a little harder than most. I think it's a good excuse for them not to spend any money. But they'll tell you that any sort of big move will jeopardize the long-term us being 88 wins. And they don't want to risk that 100-loss season. Like I asked on my radio show, I gave two teams. Team A had 2 World Series wins, but they also had 3 100-loss seasons in the last 10 years. The other team did not have a 100-loss season, averaged 85, 88 wins a season, but did not have a World Series. Which would you rather be?
Team A. I'd rather win.
Kansas City Royals.
No, I was going to say Kansas City.
Yeah, and they did, I think, what Cleveland fans wanted the Guardians to do. But again, they did have that bottom out. They did have that crater out. Now they got back out of it, but I don't know if the Guardians are willing to go into the eye of the storm and assume they can get out of it.
I think there's a responsible way of doing it, though. I think fans want to see the attempt. I think fans want to see, all right, fine. If you're going for the big hit, Alonso or Kyle Schwarber, and Boston goes bat whatever crazy, outspins you like.
Look at Detroit this year. Look at Detroit. They were this close to getting Alex Bregman. But Boston came in at the last minute and put a bigger contract down. Detroit fan, I don't think, was pissed off they missed off on Bregman. They were pissed off that Boston outbid them. But, they weren't saying, oh, you cheap bastards.
The issue is the lack of attempt. And I think a lot of fans, that's what they're seeing. Like, if you're not attempting to get some of these top guys, and then you run this back next year and you're again bounced even in the wild card, then you're going to lose some fans.
Mm-hmm.
You will lose some fans. I think if you make the attempt and you're still eliminated in this round next year, you're not going to lose as many fans. I think it's almost shameful that we have to put the pressure on ownership in the front office to at least do something. That is not also to say, by the way, guys, that the guys that were on the team, all of them showed up, because Stephen Kwan didn't show up in the series.
Right.
He for sure did not show up in the series.
Yeah.
So like some of these other guys that we do have, yeah, they didn't come through in this wild card series when we needed them to, because as weird as this sounds, if one of those guys came through, we actually win this series against Detroit.
You had a chance in game one against Tarek Skubal. You really, really did. And if you win that game, who knows what happens after that, obviously. But yeah, the fact that most every, even casual fan, knew the issues with this team before the season started. When this, and that's why I freaked out early on when this team wasn't hitting. Everybody was saying, hey, it's only 30 games, it's only 40 games. No, it's really not. Add 162 onto whatever we're talking about. It's not 30, it's 192. It's not 40, it's 202. This has been going on for years. And we knew what the issues were. We saw what happened in the offseason. And we were trying to figure out why those moves would help out the issues. And they didn't. Again, I talked about it before. The offense definitively became worse from 2024 to 2025. The pitching staff actually took a small step back too, but that wasn't as noticeable. But this offense was a middle of the pack, lower middle of the pack, but they were still an average offense, slightly below. This offense was god awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we had 10 hits in the ALC in the playoff series in 3 games. I don't know if we had 10 hits. And we need to figure out how to, I don't know if we can just trust development and we can trust coaching and we can trust these guys getting better, because let's remember it too. We can develop pitchers. We really can't develop hitters. CJ Kafis, Chase DeLauder, we'll see if that's an exception to the rule. But historically, we've, the next big thing, Will Brennan coming up. Oh, nope, see you later. Nolan Jones, the first time. Nope, see you later. The second time. Nope, see you later. There's a lot of these young guys that kind of come up and kind of fizzle out. They're quad A players. They need to either figure out a way to break a quad A player into the major leagues, or they need to actually sign some talent. And
yeah, but that signing talent thing, you need that anchor.
You need it either way.
Because like when DeLauder made his debut in Game 2 of the divisional series, that's happened before. But in that situation, the third baseman's been in the league for 13 years. The first baseman's been around for 12. The catcher's been doing his thing for 10 years. The new guy in the outfield, he's only been starting in center for 5 years. It's normally a veteran-laden team with the young dude. Now, correct, and I didn't do the math on this. I would not be shocked that when they promoted Chase DeLauder up, the average age of the roster actually got older.
Yeah, but I guess
25 years old, that might have actually increased the average age on the roster. That's how young they were. We can go through. I actually have up the numbers here of service time that these guys had.
But Rob, we're
Stephen Kwan,
wheels.
the most senior guy in the outfield, 3 years in the league. That's it.
I know, but we're spinning wheels. We're saying the same. We're just saying if the prospects can amount, it's not on a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old prospect. It's not.
I understand that.
It's on the veterans that the Guardians don't bring in.
And they need those veterans to
they
help
don't bring
those prospects along.
But they never bring them in, is what I'm trying to say. They don't bring them in. They have not brought them in. They have not done it.
Well, and I want to see. I want to see what happens this year.
Hold on, real quick. I remember in 2016 being in the World Series, watching it at the watch party because I was too broke to buy World Series tickets, and I remember watching Michael Martinez being the final out, of the 2016 World Series, Rob. And I just want to make that point, not to interrupt you, but I just want to be very clear. I'd rather see Kyle Schwarber or any other veteran they can go out and get this offseason, swinging and striking out, whatever, in the last out than Michael Martinez. It's just kind of like an insult to the
breaking
people
news,
that spend
Eli
money.
thinks Kyle Schwarber is better than Michael Martinez.
But it's an insult. It's a slap to the face for people like me, people like AA, people like you that pay the money and pay these beer prices, everything at the stadium to go support a regular season when it ends in disappointment.
Well,
That's
You
all.
gotta have real quick. You gotta have a threat besides Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
That teams fear, right? I think that's the difference.
Well,
That's the difference. That's something this front office is going to have to understand.
2 points. I think that, and these two things could affect the way they look at this offseason this year. We have baseball Armageddon slated and ready to go a year from now after the 26 season is done. They're going to be striking. They're going to have a new labor agreement. The owners want a salary cap. The players definitely do not. Just ask Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
That's going to be a complete change in economics. They don't know what is going to be the case. They could have aprons. They could have caps. They could have floors. We could be talking about, salary shirts for all we know. I want to see what teams do this offseason because I don't think there's going to be a lot of teams ready and eager to sign big multi-year contracts, especially if there's a cap that you may have to get under in a few months or in a year or so, whatever it's going to be. So that one, that could jostle free agency enough where I could see the Guardians taking advantage of a good spot. The other reason why they need to look at this offseason, do you know what happened September 17th of this year?
One of my bills was due, and AutoPay took care of it.
Okay, good. Okay.
That actually did happen. I can confirm that.
September 17th of this year.
You were not looking for that answer.
No. September 17th of this year was Jose Ramirez's 33rd birthday. We only have realistically 2 more years of 30-30 monster Jose. I'm not trying to make a judgment on him as a player. 35 years old is typically when the numbers start dipping. And, so we're talking 2 or 3 years before we're thinking of, do we move Jose to first base? Do we have him DH? Do we have him play left? Do we have him do something else that isn't what Jose is used to doing? So the window that the Guardians have, and that's really the window that we're talking about. We can talk about other guys on this team. We can talk about managers. We can talk about GMs. We can talk about everybody else. The window for this team is how long is Jose Ramirez a superstar? And my bet says 2, maybe 3 years tops. And you better give him a reason for him to sign that big hometown discount because right now you have it. And sooner than later, you're going to need some help here for Jose, or we're having this discussion in 3 years and we're relying on a young dude to drag Jose along, a la Mike Trout and Albert Pujols.
Rob, I think you just
need to make that happen soon.
Rob, I think you just made Eli's point. Because how confident
I'm not really disagreeing with Moon.
Yeah.
I'm not as harsh, I think, with the front office. I will not say there's apathy there. I will not say they do not care. I will not say they do not want to win a World Series or they don't care if they win a World Series. I think they do. I just think that the way they go about doing it is so conservative because they don't want to jeopardize 2030 for 2025. They don't want to do that. And that has been a thing since Mark Shapiro, since John Hart, since everybody. This has been the way that we've been doing things. I will not say they don't care, but I will say they need to change their approach.
Yeah, this is the way we've been doing. Go ahead, Double. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to make this point too. David Blitzer, who now owns 25% of the team, the Guardian, 2028. He has an option to become the majority owner in 2028. Yep. So that to Rob's point, it all ties into. I mean, let's see how this offseason goes. They got to do something, but let's see how this offseason goes.
And
I think 2027 could be a bad year for baseball. But could you see big changes that will plug more money into all of these organizations, especially the small market, the mid market.
You need to be able to plug money into these teams, and you also have to cap some of the money that is being spent. I think it's listed as $350 million. No, the Dodgers payroll, we all know, is closer to $700 million with all the money they're deferring. There has to be a way that these teams can work on some sort of level playing field. Yeah,
I think you got to have
revenue sharing, capping salaries. Absolutely. Now,
I think you got to have a cap and a floor, because you got to force some of these teams, Pirates, to actually spin, and actually put a presentable product on the field.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and the Marlins are in that boat too. I think their payroll's floating around $60 million right now. We all know the low payrolls in the league, and they're kind of habitual offenders with this stuff, and we're one of them. Tampa Bay's one of them. We don't get a lot of flack for it because we remain competitive while we are poor. The Pirates, you want to talk about an organization that truly doesn't care about winning a title? Go to Pittsburgh, because they are letting Paul Skeens just flounder out there and just completely okay with it. It doesn't really seem like Bob Nutting out there gives a damn, except when it's time to cash the check and make sure the tickets are sold.
I have two final points on my end. One, we've seen the crater, the end of the Guardians when they were still the other name with Terry Francona.
You can say Indians, it's fine.
No, I don't want to offend nobody. But at the end of the day,
they were the Cleveland Indians still about 5 years ago. There's really not much we can do about that.
I know. Well,
I know a lot of people out there are denying history. I will not be one of them.
So the Cleveland baseball team. No, I'm just kidding. But look, they had Maniacta. I mean, we had below 500.
Rollins thing going right now. Sorry,
we weren't 100 lost seasons, but we were bad, man. I remember watching those teams. Justin Masterson was like one of my highlights of
Maniacta.
Like watching.
You're talking about the Maniacta run.
That's what I just said. Yeah, Maniacta. It's like, and Terry Francona was the rebirth. We're bought in. And they never even paid for Tito. They never even paid for Tito. So what makes you think they're going to pay for Stephen Vogt, a first-year coach? And here's the thing I'll leave you with. Double A, you all right over there?
Well, they did help Tito out. They gave him Andrew Miller. He was the manager of the team. They signed Encarnacion. They signed players back in the day for Tito. It did happen.
Not enough for a guy of Tito Francona's stature. And at the end of the day, I'll leave it at this. As somebody, and I keep saying it, as somebody who's watched this Guardians team not spend, I'm very aware and I'm very ready for a full off season of watching as all these moves are made and we don't make the move. For all the people, for your point, Rob, of you saying, well, this is how they've done it. And, they've consistently won. But won what? Regular season wins don't mean jack shit when you don't have a World Series to show at least in one of those years. So they need to change. Like you said, you did say they need to change the approach. And they need to fast because guess what? The people that saw the last World Series, most of them aren't here anymore. They're not to be.
Actually, I talked to a dude on Saturday night, my radio show that was around for it. I was actually kind of honored.
But what I'm saying is,
I was like, "Oh, you went through the Great War. Good job."
What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, Guardians fans don't, especially with the rebrand, they don't know winning a World Series. The last time the city remembers winning a World Series is 1948. So at the end of the day, people are going to check out. And especially in the world now we live in, let's just go outside of sports for a second, where there's so many different other options with streaming and everything being so accessible in the real world. Why would we be invested in a May Guardians game if I'm not going to the game? Why would I be invested in it if this team continually does that? It's the definition of care is like, okay, if Double A was hurt, I'd go help my bro because I care about him. You're making an action to show love, to care. Same with you, Rozycki, as much as you don't believe it. I do the same thing. I'd help you. The Guardians, though, they don't. They have watched this limping offense fall flat on their face, and they're just poking it with a stick and saying, do something, but not offering any first aid, not offering any steroids, anything to jack this thing up. So it's just like embarrassing. It is. You keep saying it's not.
No,
it's
actually,
not a lack
what
of
they're
care.
doing,
It
they
is
are
a lack of
they
care.
are helping. They are helping. They're if you're hurt, they are not taking you to surgery. They are not giving you a doctor. They're giving you holistic medicine so you can heal thyself. That is what they're trying to do. They are trying to heal the team internally with natural supplements and natural minerals.
Yeah, they're giving.
That's what they're trying to do.
I do have to call out the fans for one thing, though.
They don't want the Real Housewives boob job. They want to work out and they want to earn that body.
But some dude, that's why they go to the Dodgers. Or the Yankees.
All the guys are going to the places with big old fake tits. Yes, that's what's happening. Yes, that's.
I need to call out the fans for one thing, though. When Stephen Vogt is introduced, y'all need to cheer louder.
Oh my God!
Y'all need to cheer loud. No.
Are you serious?
No, that was the only thing that bothered me. Like, Terry Francona, is could do nothing wrong. Everybody's like on their feet. Yeah, Tito. Stephen Vogt, in 2 years, playoff appearances, both years, we've all agreed that he has carried, below average offense. He's done everything he's could. He probably won't win manager of the year this year because he won it last year. But I think he did a better managerial job this year than he did last year.
He definitely did.
He cheer louder by us.
I want to say too that this whole commentary on what this Guardians offseason, what this regular season finished out as, is not a criticism on the players. I said to Eli last week, is this season a success or not is a two-pronged question. For the players, absolutely it was. You had, Jose Ramirez and some AAA guys somehow managed to go to the playoffs. Stephen Vogt made chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's exactly what happened. The players, they used every molecule of their talent, every molecule of the roster to win games. I can't criticize anybody on that roster or on that coaching staff. This all goes to the front office. And to your point on Vogt, yes. I mean, think about this. How many managers have started their big league career off 2 straight years in the playoffs, 2 years never actually managing a game out of playoff contention, not once. And the fact that he's doing that where he would be he's 2 years younger than I am. He was playing 4 years ago. And the fact that has been a seamless transition from Terry Francona into Stephen Vogt. There has been no real big new guy jitters. There hasn't been no huge adjustment period. Yeah, that has to be that needs to be said about Stephen Vogt and their choice of manager for sure.
Well,
I think so. Listen, they're doing great. Eli, I know you got one more thing, I think.
No, I know we got to wrap it up. I'll just say this. I appreciate the job he's done, but I'm just over the feel-good stories with the Guardians. I know. Shame on me. I'm just over it. Win something, man.
I will say this.
But this is how I rationalize it real quick. I have off-season fan mode and in-season fan mode. In-season fan, this season was fun. I mean, it was a great time. Off-season, like how typically they all are very frustrating. And I understand if you can't separate the two, but being a Guardians fan during the season is fun. It's up to the players and they get what they can out of them. It's now when we're sitting here on October 5th talking about what they're going to be doing in the offseason. That's the very, very frustrating part. And Moon, I can't fault you for being frustrated.
Real quick before we break, I heard one of our colleagues, he will not be mentioned here. He was like, he was mentioning they need to turn this around. They need to win it. We're going all these years without the championships. And then he mentioned, I don't care about this. I don't care about Dollar Dog Night. And I'm like, well, hold up.
Okay.
Hold up.
That's taken from us. That's taken from the fans.
Wait a minute. That's Saturday when we clinched the playoff spot.
Was a Dollar Dog Night.
Dollar Dog Night, up to 6 dogs for $6. This man is saying, do not get rid of Dollar Dog Nights. I care very deeply about
First,
Dollar Dog
if you're listening, head of fan experience with the Guardians here, Dollar Dog Night and the bobblehead. Never get rid of the bobbleheads.
Yes.
What do you have to say about that, Amy? Yes, he agrees. Don't get rid of the bobbleheads.
Question for a different show that we have here on our episode is how many?
Oh, by the way, real quick too,
if there
my
was
Jose Ramirez bobblehead sitting right here underneath him, where he should be. Tim Anderson.
Oh yeah.
Down goes Anderson.
It'd help if you held the card up right. I was like, who the hell has he got in his hand? No. Look, I just think it'd be crazy if we did a dollar dog contest. I think I could probably probably do the 999 challenge. I don't drink anymore, but if we did Dr. Pepper, I could do the 999 challenge.
It'd be like a lamest ass 999 challenge.
I
You know
don't
what
drink.
we do the 999 challenge, and then we do the Olympics right after that, like 5 minutes after we've consumed.
I am not confident in your abilities to do the 999 challenge
without alcohol. I'll do it with Dr. Pepper. We'll do it next season.
Oh my goodness, you're fuck. You know what?
Watch party.
Oh, did you just swear?
I'll take
Did
you
you
up
just?
on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Double A is going to have
We don't have to do alcohol. I'll take you up on the 999 challenge.
Let's go. Rob, you in?
No good. Well, as long as it's sugar-free soda, that's fine. Double A is going to have to call his mom now after he very quickly used the F-bomb while talking.
The worst one.
We have Eli Moon, who is very close to the camera. And myself, I am Rob Rozycki. It looks like we have talked enough Guardians, I think. You want to move on maybe to the NFL coming up next? See what else happened in this great league of what's going on here. I can't talk right now. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll move on to the NFL roundtable. We'll talk about what we've learned, and then we'll finish the show up here. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. We got Eli Moon, Anthony Alford. I am Rob Rozycki. We'll see you soon. Hi, everybody. This is the main event here on the Inside Edge podcasting network. The two laughing assholes next to me are Eli Moon and Anthony Alford.
We'll work on the countdown thing, man. We'll work on it.
Okay, well, see, you got to understand here. I have been rigorously working at WTAM 1100 in Cleveland for the last 7 years. I'm not used to just, here you go, buddy. Like some sort of music, some sort of intro instead of.
Oh, you want a bed? I think we have beds here. I think we have something. Hold on. What is this?
Go ahead, Rob. Bring us back.
Want to bring us back?
I got you. Let me try one. Welcome back to the. This is more my speed. Welcome back to the main event. Rob Rozycki on the right, more of a slow jam kind of guy. Double A Anthony Alford. He keeps us glued together, ready to go for these conversations. And I'm Eli Moon. I'm sitting in a hot tub right now. You just can't see my lower half. Welcome back to the main event on the Inside Edge Network.
Wow. Okay, this is a nice one. This is
Okay.
Oh, this is actually nice. Maybe I got a little
Should
something.
not have brought this up. I just should not have brought this up.
StreamYard got a little something. I got to work on the fade though.
We're still working the bugs out here when it comes down to the interwebs and stuff like that. But yes, this is the main event here on the Inside Edge Podcasting Network. Anthony Alford looking behind him right now. Eli Moon looking like the hip hop Jesus that he is.
Now.
What's up?
Patriots right now beating the Bills. We may not have undefeated teams after today.
Well, they all love the parity in the NFL, so I can understand why they would want to have everybody pretty close. Yeah. I mean, what are we looking at right now? Yeah, New England's up by 10 over the Bills of Buffalo. 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. That is on Peacock. Yeah, that could be, in a day of a lot of kind of topsy-turvy results and a lot of scores that maybe an uninformed fan would be very surprised about. That might take the cake. Sunday night, the Bills going down in prime time. Everybody will be able to talk about that all Monday morning on the First Takes and the highlight shows. So, yeah, that could be a pretty big deal.
A couple of highlights just to go about that I know, most impressive, least impressive. Denver Broncos, we talk about the undefeated teams. It was only Philadelphia and Buffalo. And Philly lost today to Denver. I know a lot of the country saw the ending of that game. And then, of course, we were just talking about New England. They might, if they hold on, beat Buffalo. And after 5 weeks, no undefeated. We may not have any undefeated teams in the NFL after today.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way parity works right now. It seems like, and as bad as we talk, we spent the entire first segment of the show talking about how hapless the Browns are. The sheer reality of the NFL is that if you get 3 or 4 different players on that roster and just switch them out, you're a competitive team. And it doesn't take a whole lot for any NFL team to take advantage of a bad situation of a weak opponent. So, yeah, New England might be, taking advantage of the fact that Buffalo's kind of had their number the last 4 or 5 years under Josh Allen, and I think the kids call this a trap game.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, Patriots past Bill Belichick era. I know they had that little wonkiness with Gerard Mayo last year, but so far so good. Drake May looking a lot better this year, and going out and getting us some guys to throw to. They're looking. We'll see how this game ends. We'll be off the air before that happens. But
oh God, I hope so. No, but
Me too.
I think yes, New England's a plucky team. They might be a fringe playoff contender, but I think they're definitely a whole lot better than what they were a year ago, or even 2 years ago under the last Belichick year of his administration.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the Patriots, they're definitely on their way up. I still give them a year or two before they're really contesting Buffalo for that division, even though they're contesting them in this game. But yeah, obviously we know 17 games is a little bit different. But yeah, they're definitely moving up in the world. The game that I kind of wanted to look at first off, we just want to buzz through these things. If anybody has any thoughts of the games that are already final anyway, we've already talked about the Browns. We don't need to do that again. But you talked about the Denver-Philadelphia game to start everything out with. Well, the 1 o'clock window anyway. Denver won 21-17. It was a very close ending, even though Denver was technically in control the last, bit of the game. People kind of forgot that they were losing while they were driving down. But I think what we're going to have to ask ourselves more than anything, I think Philadelphia's fine. I think, they're that couple that likes to fight just so they can have great makeup sex. And that's where the Eagles are. Then they'll be fine. They had a little bit of a fight today. They had a little bit of a bump in the road. I think the question that we have to be asking ourselves is with Denver. Is Denver now in year 2 of Bo Nix, year 3 of Sean Payton? Is Denver a real team that we got to worry about even, and I hate to say this, or I might be scared to say this, could they take the AFC West out of Kansas City's hands?
Yeah, I'll sit there and say I think Denver is a wild card team this year. I think as long as they keep up what they're doing, they've had some tough losses this year as well, but they're still playing with a second-year quarterback. I like Bo Nix. I think he's going to be probably their guy for the next 10, 12 years at least. I don't think he's like Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to go out there and wow you for 350, 400 yards, but he is going to get the job done. Put you in a chance to win the game. That's why your skill players are your skill players. But you got guys like Cortland Sutton and some of these young guys stepping up. I think this is really on Philly. I know you said, Rob, that like Philly does like having this happen. It does seem like year after year we've been seeing that since they brought in some of these guys. But I just think it is a big deal about the A.J. Brown situation. He was very vocal last week about not getting the ball. And this is a guy who spent time with Ryan Tannehill and got the ball maybe thrown 2-3 times where Derrick Henry was getting all the love. So it's a guy who I guess understandably so is a bit frustrated. He feels like he's one of the best receivers in the league. On paper, you'd think he is typically, but he's not getting the ball much to his liking. I think this is going to become a bigger thing now, especially that they lost. Winning covers up everything. You're 4-0. Okay, A.J. Brown's talking a little bit, but he's just mad. He just wants the ball. But you have two completely different receivers with Devontae Smith, who's quiet, does his thing. I'm not saying you can't voice your opinion. I'm all about voicing your opinion. But yeah, Devontae Smith, who just puts his head down, does his thing, had a big game today for the Eagles. Didn't get in the end zone, but had a great game. And then you had A.J. Brown, who I like A.J. Brown, but it seems like he's always negative even when the team's winning. It's just very counterproductive to the product. And I think this is going to become a big deal later on in the season because it puts Jalen Hurts in a position to where, like we're not even talking about Saquon Barkley right now. Saquon Barkley was an afterthought in this game until a 47-yard receiving touchdown out of nowhere. So I think it's a big deal for the Eagles as time goes on.
Well, I will say this, though, real quick about Philly. The schedule might cover up some of those problems because 2 of their next 3 games are against the Giants. So, they should win those games. The middle game is against the Vikings. So they could win the next 3 games. So we'll see. But it is something to monitor, definitely. I do agree with that. I'll say this about Denver, who scored 18 points in the fourth quarter. And this kind of ties a little bit into what Eli talked about in the A block about the Browns and about Kevin Stefeanski perhaps finally having his guy. Sean Payton has his guy in Bo Nix. And what a difference things make, when you do have your quarterback. I remember Sean Payton hated Russell Wilson.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, but Sean Payton could not stand this dude because Russell Wilson was basically doing everything undisciplined, the opposite of what Sean Payton wanted. Bo Nix has opened up this offense. They have weapons across the board with J.K. Dobbins, Troy Franklin, a lot of their other young guys in their offense. I do think it's very possible Denver could win this division. It's possible. But it is a tough division because the Chargers are really good, and the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and they figured things out. So that's the way we used to look at the AFC North for a lot of these years. I think that's how we're going to look at the AFC West. I think you can get 3 playoff teams from that division.
Well, and you got to remember, and I know Kansas City, they play Monday night, so they're not really factored into our discussion right now. But their offense is not what it used to be. This is not Tyreek Hill going for 70-yard bombs every other play anymore. This is a much more dink and dunk efficiency style offense. So, yeah, when you're talking about Kansas City possibly taking a step back with no Tyreek Hill for the last couple of years, a 37-year-old pop star fiance at tight end right now. I don't know if they're the quite of the Kansas City Chiefs that we're used to now. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think everybody who understood what Mahomes was doing, he's going to be in the league for 20 years. He's going to be in the league 15, whatever it's going to be. He's going to have two distinct cores around him. Right now, he's shedding that whole Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, those old skill guys. And now it's up to Kansas City to kind of reload everything. And I think this might be the year. If there's going to be a year with the Chargers now keeping everybody honest, with, I know the Raiders are just, the Raiders got bombed today, but with their division, with those two teams kind of keeping everybody honest, the likelihood that you could have either the Chargers or the Broncos kind of pierce through might be a little more likely than normal.
I'm going to say this too. I'm just looking at the potential AFC playoff. The AFC is kind of loaded right now. Like, there's a lot of great teams across the board in the AFC. The Colts could be a problem. They put up 40 against the Raiders, and the Raiders, Geno Smith cannot resist not turning the ball over. Freaking trash. He
has
two interceptions, probably a fumble as well. But the Colts, undefeated 2 at home, 3-0 at home, put up 40. They're gonna be a problem. And as long as Jonathan Taylor stays healthy, who can stop him? If Baker Mayfield doesn't get the MVP, it could be Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor right now is the backbone of that offense. He had Daniel Jones. He didn't have a 400, 300-yard game like he did in the first couple weeks of the season, but he was incredibly efficient, 20 of 29, I think about 220 yards or so. He didn't do anything to lose the game. And, you want to talk about maybe finding your guy. Shane Steichen might have found somebody who could run that offense well. I know that typically quarterbacks under Steichen do better when they're relying on their first read. And whenever things are a little bit more simple, he can just go to a receiver. That's what Daniel Jones did when he had the one good year in New York. So I could see Steichen kind of molding that offense and helping him out a little bit. Now, we'll see what happens as the season gets a little bit older. There's more film on these guys. And quite honestly, the games get more intense. So we'll see what happens when it's, we turn into November, December playoff ball and how well that offense will continue to function. But for right now, they have to be the biggest shock in the league. Maybe with one other team. And actually, that was a question I posed to you guys to start out with earlier before we started the show up here. The Baltimore Ravens did not look like the Baltimore Ravens at all. They got torched by the Houston Texans, a team that we weren't 100% sure was on the right path anyway. Mm-hmm. They have now fallen to 1-4 on the year. Things are serious in Baltimore. Like, they're in danger now of digging themselves into a hole that they quite can't get out of. What is more surprising, or what is more, I don't want to say surprising, I think they're both surprising. What's more real? What's more rooted in reality? This Colts 4-1 start or this Ravens 1-4 start? Because I think both are shocking, but I don't know if both are mirages or if they're the real thing.
I think they're both real. I think the Colts are a team that has had a workhorse running back in Jonathan Taylor, just waiting for the right usage and just usage in general. I mean, they just haven't figured it out, and they finally have. It's pretty simple. Just give Jonathan Taylor the football and rely on the defense he's built around, and Daniel Jones just don't lose the game. And I think it is real. And I think the Colts are actually benefiting from a hot start from getting ahead of the Texans that did win today over the Ravens. I'll get to them in a second. And I think they're benefiting from that. Actually, these games right now, they're winning in September and October, are going to probably come back to haunt the Texans in December when they're instead of playing for an AFC South title, they're a game or two back that they could have cleaned up earlier in the year. Now to the Ravens, that's real too. I mean, no Lamar Jackson, that's a problem, man. And we don't know how long he's going to be out.
The scary for Baltimore isn't the quarterback injury. I know they didn't score anything today. Cooper Rush did not do well. But as bad as he did, the scary part is that defense. I think it's 133 points they've given up. That is the worst in the league. And yes, we are talking about the Baltimore Ravens. This is basically, Irish people don't like green. That's, we're talking about some like a given circumstance over your entire life, Moon. The Ravens defense.
Yeah, but it still comes down to the quarterback play.
And they're injured. But when your defense is tossing up 30 points a game, it really doesn't matter what your quarterback is doing in a lot of cases.
Because they're put on the field. The same thing we talk about with the Cleveland Browns. They're put on the field constantly throughout the game. They have no quarterback option. Derrick Henry's looked like a shell of himself this season, fumbling the ball, not racking up any really big yardage games.
Rushing yards today.
Correct. And it's like, and this is what it is. Lamar Jackson, you said it earlier in the segment, Rob. It's like 3 to 4 players move him around or take him out of the game. It changes the whole landscape of a team. Lamar Jackson, there was a big reason that the Ravens signed him. Because they understand Lamar Jackson is as far as Lamar Jackson goes, is as far as the Baltimore Ravens are going. And now that he's out, and it seems like it's going to be extended time, I think this is real. I think the Ravens could have probably their worst season in probably the last 10, 15 years.
But this is also why they did sign Cooper Rush. Remember, Cooper Rush is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league this week notwithstanding.
I was going to say, not today.
They wanted to have a security blanket behind Lamar, and if you're in that spot of what the Browns are doing right now, if their defense typically only giving up 14, 15 points a game, the idea would be that the backup quarterback can come on in and limp them through. Right now, that's not happening. You're asking Cooper Rush to come in cold and win shootouts. And I think right now, we're disagreeing on the reason why, but I think we're both, understanding right now that the Ravens are in some deep shit.
I think the Ravens have a bigger problem than what the both of you are talking about. I think this is bigger picture. They are completely broken.
What, sign stealing? Oh, sorry, wrong Harbaugh. What?
They are completely broken. They can't get past Kansas City. They can't beat good teams. They're not competitive.
Actually, they have gotten through Kansas City before. The team they can't get through is Buffalo.
No,
Buffalo's the bridesmaid in the AFC. They can't even be the bridesmaid right now.
I understand that.
They don't even have a chance to get on the altar.
I'm not saying you're wrong. What I'm saying is their performance last week against Kansas City, I think broke them. Not coming up clutch against Buffalo week 1, fine. You get the win against Cleveland, whatever. But they lost to Detroit. They lost to Kansas City. So, I mean, you can make the case that, okay, on surface level, they have a hard schedule. Like, they got the Rams next week. That could be another loss. Like, they have a hard schedule. But I think
they have a first-place schedule.
I think something is rooted deep. I think losing to Kansas City, the team that, when it matters in the AFC Championship a couple years ago, Lamar could not get past Kansas City. And not just losing the game, but basically getting demolished in that game last week. It was basically roadkill this week. And they've had issues all season with turnovers. This is a Ravens team that if they don't turn things around fast, Pittsburgh's going to run away with the AFC North. And there's so many great AFC teams that the wild card is going to be out of the question really, really quickly.
Well, Pittsburgh,
something deep is going on.
Pittsburgh sitting right now, they were on bye. They're a game and a half up on Cincinnati right now, and they're 2.5 up on Baltimore and Cleveland. Now, the one thing I will say to this whole Ravens conundrum, they're 1-4 right now. What would we be talking about right now if the Browns weren't the Browns on week 2 and actually did give Baltimore a fight? Remember, they're 1-4, and the one win they have is against the Browns. And I'm not trying to make fun of the Browns.
Well, the defense, here's the other thing. The defense held up Cleveland's defense until.
Yeah, they did. They bottled up Derrick Henry. Lamar didn't. But they've always looked, they've always had trouble against Cleveland. But, yeah, I mean, like, they are seriously one Browns defeat away from being 0-5, from being, probably the most disappointing team in the league right now. And you want to talk about hot seats. We talk about, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh only going 9-8 every year and that not being good enough. John Harbaugh is in roughly the same spot in Baltimore. I know he has a recent title and everything like that, but he's been there an awful long time, and all of a sudden you start going 1-4, and if they go to 1-5 against the Rams next week, they're going to be there's going to be some talk in Baltimore about is enough, and is it time for a change?
Hey, real quick, I do want to get thoughts on the Tampa Bay Seattle game before we move.
Yeah, I think Baker actually just scored a touchdown while we were talking just now. But
our buddy Gronk has some thoughts. One of these star players of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh yeah, that household name that's playing receiver. Yeah.
But Baker Mayfield also did it without his number one wide receiver, Mike Evans. And you got to give credit to this rookie sensation wide receiver out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, going for over 100 yards. Emeka Egbuka. I'm getting confused. He's going lights out once again.
I mean, I'm on TV. Why do they? Why should I be expected to talk, right? Yeah, Gronkowski being. But in all fairness, that isn't exactly Mike Evans. We're not exactly.
Ibuku, whoever you call him.
Ibubu.
7 receptions, 163 receiving yards, and a touchdown. Ibubu, I hope can have a long-standing NFL career.
Speaking of that, and this is why I didn't say anything about the Yankees on my show last night. Do you know the pitcher that won the game for New York in the Wild Card Series Game 3 against Boston? The rookie pitcher had a hell of a night. You know what his name is?
No, the baseball playoffs were dead to me after the Guardians were eliminated.
Okay, I understand this. Cameron is his first name, and let me see if I can do this right on the first try. Schlittler.
Yeah.
You said that on the air?
Schlitt, not. I can say shit on the air. That might be the most unfortunate. He is one L away from being Schlittler.
Did you actually try that name at TAM?
No.
Okay.
No. No, I talked about the Guardians.
Yeah,
the Guardians. I didn't have to talk about him.
It's like that football player over at Eastern Michigan. That guy.
Well, actually,
first name starts with A, and then the next letter is the.
Oh yes, the name that you can say, but me and Moon really probably can't. No, the one that I heard coming out of, he's a sprinter. He's probably going to be like the next Usain Bolt kind of guy. He's from Australia. His parents are African by birth, so he is named, and I'm not kidding you on this, and it's spelled how it sounds, Gout.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Moonspace says that. Yeah, Gout.
Eli, what did you think of this QB battle of the superstars between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold?
I loved it.
Yeah, that QB class ain't looking too bad now, is it?
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. Obviously, this is the fourth walk-off win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here this season. All their wins have been walk-offs. And Sam Darnold is everything that the Raiders wish Geno Smith would be. A retread that works out. And Sam Darnold's doing really, really well. I mean, Seattle's going to be in the hunt this year. They're probably going to be a wild card team. I don't think they win the West because I have my best team of the week coming up here soon, and I'll tell you who that is. But I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to be a team that competes very well. I mean, they completely revamped their entire wide receiver room, got rid of long members of the team, especially Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and they're really counted on JSN. They said, show us. You want to be wide receiver one? Show us. And they're doing it. They brought Cooper Kupp in. I think the Seahawks are going to be okay, and I think this is just Baker doing Baker things, stuff he could have been doing in orange and brown, but he is doing it in Tampa Bay, and I think the Buccaneers are forced to be reckoned with. They are not my most impressive team this week, but they are pretty damn good.
Who is the most impressive team this week?
The San Francisco 49ers, who played on Thursday, but most people would be confused that Mac Jones started this past week for them. They'd be confused if Mac Jones that you told them they played the last 3 weeks. If they had just coming about from under a rock, from being under their last 2 years. Mac Jones is 3-0 in his San Francisco 49ers starting tenure right now. And I think there's a lot to be said about Kyle Shanahan. I think there's a lot to be said about the 49ers. They got rid of Deebo Samuel in the offseason. They have no George Kittle. He's been out since really early part of week 2. And they're making it happen. Jake Tongas, the backup tight end, stepping up. He's been really good. The receivers they've been hurt. I mean, they lost Ricky Pearsall. They've lost all these guys. Jawan Jennings. I mean, they won that game Thursday with Demarcus Robinson as one of their starting receivers. All respect to him, but they were trotting out their fifth and sixth guys. And I think that's really impressive. The Niners defense has always stood tall. They did enough to hold back the Rams. They are my most impressive team this week.
Well, and if you hear just people talk about them, winning did somebody get wrong something on Jeopardy?
No, the train is passing by.
Yeah.
No, they won with they don't have their quarterback one. They don't have their tight end one, who is Hall of Fame track. They don't have their wide receiver one. Their running backs are dinked up. Their defense is no Bosa that is beat to hell and back. You would have to remind whoever you're talking to that they are now 4-1, because everything that I just said sounds like this team is what Baltimore's doing right now, is just trying to stay alive and stay relevant long enough for guys to get back from injured reserve. But Kyle Shanahan has figured out a way to basically thrive, even though his entire first team offense is sitting on the sideline right now. And yeah, I mean, he would probably be an early candidate for me anyway for coach of the year for sure, because he's definitely had to coach his ass off the first 5 weeks of the season.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I'm sorry, real quick. For me, my most impressive, there's a lot of good candidates. There's a lot of good comebacks, too. My honorable mention is actually the Houston Texans, because I thought they were left for dead. C.J. Stroud, 4 touchdowns in the contest. Nick Chubb had a touchdown. For Houston, it's just dominated. It made Baltimore look like chumps. They really did. But my most impressive team is Denver. You're waiting for that signature W. To get the comeback against the world champions on the road, you just wait for some of these up-and-coming teams to break through. And we've been waiting for 3 years for Sean Payton to break through with this Denver team, and he finally did it. And he finally has the team that he wants. And you're seeing a Denver Broncos team who basically was left for dead for a lot of years. They made the heavy investment in Sean Payton. They got him out of broadcasting to come in. And for him and for Bo Nix and for this team to get a balanced win over the world champions on the road, my vote goes to the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of rolled their eyes originally at first when Bo Nix was drafted. I think everybody thought that Sean Payton was smarter than everybody in the room and, was going to get into problems with that. And in actuality, he was right. Everything's working out fine. And I think that actually gives hope to Browns fans out there after this whole Deshaun Watson fiasco. Remember, they ate a lot of guaranteed money when they got rid of Russell Wilson. They were completely okay with shelling out $75-80 million so he wouldn't play for them. And despite that, yeah, they had a couple of rocky years, right after that. But now year 3 of this, they seem to have found their coach, found their quarterback. They can play some defense, and they got some running backs. So, yeah, they're playing pretty well. And, we just talked about them being a real threat to dethrone the Chiefs in the AFC West. And that's some pretty rarefied territory for sure. That is impressive. My impressive team this week, let's rewind back to week 1 of the season. One of the big matchups was the Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Packers. Everyone was wondering what was going to be the case with Detroit. And, hey, we've lost our coordinator, Ben Johnson, on the offensive side. We've lost our Aaron Glenn, our defensive coordinator, who, by the way, hasn't won a game yet for New York. And they also, by the way, they lost Frank Ragnow. I don't know if you guys remember that name. He was their center. So they were going into a brand new season with a new offensive coordinator and a new center. And everyone was a little afraid of what would happen, including me. I didn't know if this team was going to be what it was in years past. And the fears were not nullified when they lost 27-13 against the Packers. They did not look good. The offense did not look in any sort of rhythm at all. And now looking back on it, we can see it was a new play caller and a new center that might have had something to do with it. Because since then, they have done nothing but just curb stomp people. 52 points against Chicago. 38 now against Baltimore, which I don't know if that looks as good as maybe it did a couple of weeks ago. 34 against Cleveland. and they beat Cincinnati today 37-24. Do they need to tighten up the defense? Absolutely. But just from what I'm seeing right now, the Detroit Lions, I don't think they might have had a week that they had a little bit of a problem, but they look to be just as for real as they have in years past, and they look to be an honest to God NFC title contender. And we'll see what happens next week. While a week from right now, a week from when we will be talking next Sunday, the Lions will be facing the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football.
Big one.
I think that will be a litmus test for both teams, because I think where Detroit is finding their way after the coordinators, Kansas City's trying to just find their way in general. And Kansas City very quickly could get embarrassed on national TV just how they embarrassed Baltimore.
We'll have to see. I mean, the Lions are the Lions right now. It's just a standard of excellence, and it's great to see them back on track. Eli, least impressive team.
My least impressive team is a team that won today. Double A, Rob. They won at 9:30. Well, they started at 9:30 Eastern time. My least impressive team in the NFL is the Minnesota Vikings. And here's why. Yes, for some that are looking on the outside looking in, they're saying, well, Eli, why? Come on. This is the J.J. McCarthy season. And I'd go, you're right, except for he's not healthy. So this is now another time where the Vikings have to hope that what they just saw to McCarthy in a few games this season is going to be enough for them to not have, and he'll probably come back this season, but they're going to have another short window to understand if he's the guy or not. Now that's 2 seasons with J.J. McCarthy. They are rocking with Carson Wentz, and they were a Browns abysmal defensive meltdown. If that doesn't happen, they are 2-3 and below 500, and a team that still doesn't know if they have the quarterback of the future. It's not Carson Wentz, because at the end of the day, we know Carson Wentz, his days are behind him, right? So J.J. McCarthy, that's the biggest thing. That's why the Vikings are losing, because they won this game, but they don't have anything to really go towards. Like, you're only going to go so far with Carson Wentz, especially when you have games coming up later this year that are pretty tough. Like, you look at it, they have a bye week next week, which the Browns are good at losing that one, but I think the Vikings should be okay. The Eagles are coming up after that, right? And then they got the Chargers and then the Lions. 3 just absolute tough games. So even if McCarthy is healthy by then, you're going into 3, at least 2 of the best in the NFL. And Chargers are making their way up. It's still to be seen. They lost today. But then later on, you have the Packers in Green Bay, at Seattle, who just had a shootout today, versus Washington. Jaden Daniels is back. Lions later on. It's going to get bad for Minnesota, and I think it's why they're the worst team is because they're almost as directionless right now at quarterback as the Browns are.
Yeah, I mean, again, they are 3-2. They should be 2-3 if Cleveland was able to handle business. And I think you do have that point. I will say this. As long as Justin Jefferson continues to be a beast, they have a chance. But is J.J. McCarthy the real deal when he comes back? That we do not know. We have no idea. And it wouldn't surprise me if Kevin O'Connell, he decides, hey, maybe I will stick with Carson Wentz. They just don't know. And it turns out Sam Darnold, pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know you're going to say something, Rob. I was just going to say that's the thing. Is like they thought they were so smart by taking the chance on the guy that missed his entire rookie year because they drafted him high instead of going with the proven talent and the guy that just got you to the playoffs. That also, by the way, was a first-round talent. It's not like you're throwing away an opportunity for like a 6th, 7th round of that. Yeah,
it's ego. They had faith in their talent evaluation. They had faith in their ability to pick a quarterback. They had faith in their ability to make it right for him, and they don't want to be the reason why they're wrong. That's what it is. So he's going to get the opportunity. I'll guarantee you, McCarthy, when healthy, will get another swing back at it. He might not get a long opportunity, but they will try it again for sure. Yeah. So we're talking about disappointing teams, right? And I will start it out with a disappointing player. I will not try to go Rob Gronkowski, and I get this name right. Amari DeMarcado. Am I right there?
Amari DeMarcado.
Yeah. I know.
Yes. He had a probably one of the few times in NFL history that you can have 3 carries and 81 yards and be embarrassed, because really it should have been 3 carries and 82 yards. He was one of the reasons why and we'll go with the entire Cardinals team as the disappointing team. They were up sitting pretty. We talked about a little bit about it at the top of the show, 21-3 in the second quarter against the lowly Tennessee Titans and the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, a team that was walking into the day 0-4 and had not been competitive really at all. They had just come up, a 26-0 loss against those Titans. And they were, again, it was kind of the same kind of situation, quarter and a half in, down by 3 scores. And then the Cardinals proceed to have a series of events to let this team back in it. And one of these events was DeMarcado breaking I believe it was about a 65-yard touchdown run. What he thought was going to be a touchdown run, what the crowd thought was a touchdown run, what the other 10 guys on the offense thought was a touchdown run. The only person who disagreed with the assessment of it being a touchdown run was the replay official. And we see him let go of the ball. We have seen it 1,000 times. I honestly don't know how players are this stupid. You have had an ample opportunity to learn from other people's mistakes. Drops the ball on about the half-yard line, rolls through the end zone. Tennessee gets the ball, and not for nothing, they score a touchdown with that drive. So you have the Arizona Cardinals, who seem to be on everybody's high. They're going to be the team that breaks through list, the Denver Broncos of this year list. They're going to be the next big thing. They got Kyler Murray. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. They have a lot of talent on that team for sure. And yet, like Arizona has managed to do really last 75 years, all but maybe 1 or 2, can't figure out a way to put it together. Had a very winnable game against one of the worst teams in the league. Had a chance to walk out a above 500 team at 3-2, and just decided the second half that wasn't really going to be the case. I will give the Titans credit for seizing on those opportunities. I will give the Titans credit for being tough, being down 2 scores after getting blown out the game before, and managing to keep your shit together long enough to win that game. Cam Ward, 265. He did have an interception. He played good enough to win. He ended up leading a 9-play drive for a game-winning field goal as time expired. He did everything he needed to do. The Cardinals opened the door, and I'll give the Tennessee Titans credit for walking through it. But right now, the Cardinals, probably the 21st century, probably even most of the 20th century, my most disappointing team.
Let me ask you guys this. How many teams are in the NFL?
32.
32. How many teams in the NFL has a W? At least one win.
30.
31. There's one team that is still winless. And their head coach might be the best answer out of any head coach in the NFL, but they are winless.
What, Dolphins?
The New York Jets. 0-5. The Dolphins did win a game.
By the way, Aaron Glenn, he is, and I am shocked this is the first time this has ever happened. It is the first time a first-year head coach of the Jets started 0-5. You would have thought Rich Kotite or Rex Ryan or somebody back in the day would have had their head jammed up their ass so far to start 0-6. So, I am a little astonished that it took this long for the Jets to start 0-5 with a new coach.
I'll keep it brief because 0-5 sucks. Believe me, we know. The New York Jets are first team in NFL history to start with an 0-5 record and have 0 takeaways. They have not forced a turnover through 5
Which is
games.
amazing because you figure that was a pretty good defense walking in the door. And Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator before he was a head coach, you would think that even when the Jets were dog shit last year, the defense was still playing well enough under Robert Saleh to keep him in games. That's a little surprising.
That is very surprising. And the worst thing you could say about a bad football team is when you become irrelevant. And the Jets are not interesting. They're not – it's just they don't do the things that you need to do to win football games. They don't know how, and I don't know where you're going to see a win. And they've, it's close calls, but
no, Woody's kids better be checking out those Madden ratings. Then they better get scouting.
You're facing a Dallas team that can hand you touchdowns, and the Jets did not even score a touchdown.
No,
until the fourth quarter.
And that's and that's why if I'm a football, if I'm a fan of any team right now, I'd be a lot more pissed off at the Jets than I would be at a team like the Browns, because the Jets, they brought in Justin Fields, you got Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. I know he left today with a with an injury, but those guys, they had some expectations walking in. Like, they thought they could be good. They had some talent. And right now, this team seems to be just as lost as when Aaron Rodgers was hiring and firing coaches. So, this team, I know a lot of coaches, anytime they take a job at a, Jacksonville or a Jets or something like that, they think they can be the guy to change everything. They can be the guy that'll kind of turn everything around. No, I hate to say it to you, bad organizations are bad organizations for a reason. It's normally not one coach.
And this is why I wanted to bring up. We're just going to roll right into what did we learn. This is what I learned this weekend. And Ben Axelrod had a great tweet on Twitter basically saying, look, if you look at the standings, you shouldn't be surprised at who's at the bottom of the standings. The Jets, the Browns, Titans,
Saints,
Raiders,
Dolphins,
Giants, Bears, Saints, Cardinals. All of those teams, maybe you take out the Saints during the Drew Brees years. All of those teams that I've mentioned, they poorly ran organizations as far as on-field product. And there's a reason why, the NFL talks about parity. And there is parity in the middle. There is parity as far as who can compete for championships. But it's also obvious the teams right now through 5 weeks of the NFL season that are struggling, that are at the bottom of the standings, there are very few surprises.
Well,
and all of them have failed over time at tearing a team down, rebuilding. These are teams that all of them have had opportunities to rebuild, and they missed out on their window because they drafted poorly. They didn't sign the correct free agents. They hired the wrong head coaches. And the teams in their division did everything right. They did everything wrong. And when you hear people say, oh, it doesn't come down to ownership, yes, it does.
I believe that's all it comes down to, because the owner is the only guy you can't fire. The owner, if you got a bad owner, there is no pink slip you can throw him. There is no change that that the organization can make. You are stuck with that guy. Ask the Redskins or the Commanders or the Washington Football, whatever you want to call it. Dan Snyder was, and you notice the second they got new ownership in there, and Josh Harris owns the Sixers, he has a lot of teams. He knows what he's doing. The second you got a good owner in there, Jaden Daniels comes in, has a chance to play well. Dan Quinn all of a sudden now looks like a genius as a head coach. We're forgetting about that Atlanta run completely. And yes, it's the ownership, it's the attitude, it's the culture. The teams you mentioned, at the bottom of the standings, they've been at the bottom of the standings for years. And that's why, because it doesn't matter who the coach is. That'll change in and out every other year. The quarterback, I saw a tweet that saying we should just start talking about Browns quarterbacks like we talk about presidents. Dylan Gabriel, the 41st quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
That's what Fox tweeted.
Yeah. And, no matter what happens, the quarterback, the coach, the defensive coordinator, the ball boy, the, Jim Donovan to Andrew Siciliano, it doesn't matter. The team's going to be bad because the one guy that needs to be moved out can't move out and is now taking $600 million of our money in Ohio. So, but yeah, you look at the Bidwells in Arizona, they've been doing the exact same way. The Browns in Cincinnati, Paul Brown up there or Mike Brown down in Cincinnati has been notoriously one of the cheapest owners in the league. The Maras, I don't know what has gotten into the Giants post Eli, but they have been wandering around. And he's one of the few owners that will come out and say, this is not acceptable. I'm used to this team being a crown jewel of the league. We need to get that figured out. But all of these teams that are perennially there, Miami down there with Stephen Ross, bad owner. They're all just screwed before the season even starts. And it sucks that about a third of the league is in that lump, but that's just kind of how the cookie is crumbling right now.
Who wants to go to this is like an intervention? Actually, I know Eli's is pretty important. So Rob, you go next and then we'll wrap with Eli.
Well, okay. I mean, I learned a lot of things this week, and I think the biggest one of the bunch, and it took this week's slate of college football to remind me of what was happening here with this. Penn State loses to UCLA. Texas goes down also. By the way, the Penn State loss, little tidbit on that. UCLA was the only Power 4 conference in the entire team in the entire country that didn't lead in the first 4 weeks of the season.
It's amazing. Amazing.
The first drive of the game, they scored against Penn State. Up 7-0. They demolished the Nittany Lions. At least it wasn't in Happy Valley. They have fired their head coach. I think it was Rick Neuheisel's kid was running the operation. He divulged that before the game. That was the first game he was ever going to wear a headset for. That's the UCLA team that beat up on the Nittany Lions, who were ranked number 2 in the country. Now, we've all seen Arch Manning in Texas, and they have gotten beat up from, basically coast to coast at this rate. Ohio State was doing it. It seems like Georgia, Alabama, doesn't matter. They're getting knocked around pretty good. And what the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season has changed really in the top 25 standings, the Texas Longhorns, there you go, there's my hand. Nittany Lions, number 1 and 2 in the country, respectively. They're not on the top 25 poll at all. 0. Not ranked. I don't even know if they're receiving votes at this rate. And if you throw those two teams in with Florida State last year, with Mike Norvell, I think the L in the end of Norvell stood for 8 losses, even though they were ranked number 7 in the country to start things out with. Preseason polls don't matter. Preseason award races don't matter. Remember, in simpler times 5 weeks ago when Arch Manning was the top candidate for the Heisman Trophy? That was a fun time. That feels like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Deion Sanders and Shador are wondering where all the nepotism talks are at right now for the Texas starting quarterback.
Real quick, prayers out to Deion Sanders. I know he's
blood clots. I saw that. Yeah,
like major health issues. So hopefully he gets good news tomorrow. So prayers to
I know he has an appointment going tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, like all the stuff they were saying about Shador last year, you can feasibly say about Arch Manning this year. When it comes down to the nepotism, the family connections, all that kind of stuff. But we're now realizing that hype is just that. Hype, and we like to talk, and we like to get clicks, and we like to get engagement. So we like to put out these preseason rankings, and we like to tell everybody that we're smarter than the average bear. Well, look what happened. Number 1, Texas. Number 2, Penn State. I don't think anybody was smart for putting them in there. I don't think they've gotten any worse in the last 3 weeks. I think they were the team that everybody voted for. And thanks to the transfer portal, thanks to NIL, we have no actual idea how good these teams are going to be before everything starts. I wouldn't be shocked if in the next 10 years, Ohio State has hey, we're ranked preseason number 5 in the country and we finished with a losing record. We just don't know. And anybody who tries to tell you, anybody who tries to pick things, anybody who says that they have, unless they have a DeLorean parked in that damn driveway in front of me, they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. And I will even include me in that one. We like to think we have an idea of what's going to happen. We like to look at the rosters. We like to look at the computer projections now, but we don't know. And that's a good thing because that's why we watch sports. Because if we did know, we wouldn't watch it, or we'd either be Joe Jackson or Emmanuel Clase right now. So yes, we tune in because that's why we do it. So no matter what, don't ever try to gauge your value as a person because you don't know who the best college team in the country is 3 weeks out. Don't do that. It's nice to talk about, but these preseason polls in any sport. And we'll get them with the NBA coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll get them with the MLB this offseason with power rankings. The only standings that matter are the ones at the end of the year. That's what.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah. And if you're going to call a game in Indianapolis, don't go out and get blind drunk 2 days before and stabbed. I also learned that, too.
From the hospital to jail. That's
Sounds.
Yeah, he did not get his $200. He went directly to jail. And we're talking to yes.
Sounds like that show, My Trip to the ER.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think there's an episode starting out. Yeah, it's good. Well, it's going to be a two-parter. It's my trip to the ER and then my trip to the holding cell, because that's what Mr. Sanchez is going to have. How can you get stabbed on a work weekend like that, bro? We are all
priorities.
We know that that broadcast call time is sacred. You got to do everything you can to make sure you're there on time.
Hey, once a Jets quarterback, always a Jets quarterback.
Nah. Yeah, who knew that the butt fumble was not going to be the most embarrassing moment of his football career? But here we go.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Ain't that right, Eli?
It is right, Double A. And I guess I got some stuff to get into what I learned this weekend. Okay. So I typically go sports, or like last week I went with Bad Bunny. I think it's important this week to say what I learned this weekend is how important mental health is in this country, in this world. For those that don't know, October is Mental Health Awareness Month. October 10th is Mental Health Awareness Day. The whole goal of this month is to raise, the awareness, right? And like defeat the stigma of mental health. For years, people were told, men, especially being a man, I can relate to that. Being a man and hearing some of my bros being like, no, don't cry. It's, we don't cry, or we don't go through
just shut up and repress it until you have a heart attack at 55 like a real man. Yeah.
And it's, luckily I grew up in a household where my mom and pops, it's okay to show emotion and deal with things. But a lot of people have bottled up a lot. And I'm not going to get into the climate of the world because that's just not my cup of tea. But with the climate of the world and everything going on right now, I think it's important to prioritize your mental health. And so I'm taking this platform right now to state that I think for somebody whose music is very pushing towards mental health awareness, I have songs on mental health awareness. I struggle with mental health illnesses myself. And it's okay. It's okay that if you have to take a medicine to be okay in the morning. It's okay if you talk to a therapist. It's okay if you have to do these things to not go crazy, because at the end of the day, like, I guess it's okay to not be okay. And I've lost friends that should still be here. I've lost people in my life that should still be here. And ultimately I'm going to make sure I voice my opinion, my story, whether it's October or not. There's 2-3 years ago, I didn't want to be here. I actively was looking to leave Earth, and I'm grateful that I got a show today to be able to talk with you guys, rejoin the main event, that I'm able to see my niece and nephew every day. Like, I can call them and they just are excited to hear from Uncle Eli. And, I'm excited that I get to pursue a music career and spread awareness. So I guess like my only thing is just like, love your loved ones, man. Love the people that you see at the grocery store that might just need a hand grab and a freaking thing that you're taller than them to grab it. I mean, just love people, man. It's so hard nowadays, but I promise you, if you just lead with love, this world will be a better place. That's the only way we got out of it. So that's my take, is just take care of your mental health and just know I'm a call away. You can get a hold of me. Dude, if you don't have me on personals, you see I'm at the Man They Call Moon on Instagram, right there. There. And you can reach out to me there. If you need my number, get my number. I'm always here, man. So
I deleted your number, so no, I'm kidding. No, really, on your point though, I think, and I'm not, I'm not a veteran of therapy. I'm not a veteran of any, depression issues or anything like that. But it just seems like the best way to combat this stuff is communication. If you are having those thoughts, tell somebody. If you're about to have those thoughts, tell people why. Tell people if there is something wrong. It seems like that most of the time, whenever somebody does, go that route and, end their own life like that, they feel alone. They feel boxed off. They feel closed in. And the only way to really knock those walls down is communication, is, having loved ones at home, having a support structure, even having these two dipshits, that helps. Just be able to talk to, and, being able to communicate those emotions. And yeah, Moon's right. It's, we are trained as dudes to just repress it, shut up, smile, and then die of a heart attack at 58 years old. That's pretty much what we're supposed to do. I dealt with a sweet, loving grandfather, two of them, who, managed to bottle up every, Japanese and German soldier they killed in World War II and didn't talk about it. I wonder how better their lives would have been if they had an opportunity. Not saying that they had bad existences at all, but, how closer they would have been to their kids or their families or anything like that if they could feel safe enough to tell anybody. And I think that's what also goes out to people not going through this kind of stuff, or at least outwardly going through this kind of stuff. Do what Moon did. Be a safe person to talk to. Be somebody who will not judge this kind of thing. Because a lot of times the reason why dudes don't talk about it, because we don't want to be called a pussy, because we don't want to be called a little girl, because, we don't want to, you skinned your knee, stop crying. Don't be that guy. Don't put up a wall. Don't put up any sort of barrier when someone is trying to ask for help. Because I'll guarantee you, I would rather listen to somebody and, talk out whatever we need to talk out, as opposed to go to another funeral. And because the funeral, there's no going back. At least if you're talking, at least if you're trying to communicate, there is at least a chance that you will be able to come out of the darkness back into the light. So yeah, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to these two assholes, talk to whoever you need to talk to. Because this is there, Moon got into it a little bit. Trying times out there. It's, and I don't want to get too much into politics. You can death scroll on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and see some gnarly shit out there on both sides of the aisle, in this country, everywhere else. And I hope that maybe our little 2-hour snippet of, sports talk will be able to divert you from that. But yeah, you got to, keep your guard up and make sure everybody, is okay with you and your circle, because the only way we're going to get through this is if we're a team.
And just remember this, if you are for a split moment having a bad day, it's okay. Just know that you did not at least butcher this
But
name.
Baker Mayfield also did it without his number one wide receiver, Mike Evans. And you got to give credit to this rookie sensation wide receiver out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, going for over 100 yards. Emeka Egbuka. I'm getting confused. He's going lights out once again.
Egbuka.
At least he admitted he was confused. I mean,
It was his day confused, that's all.
Gronkowski admitting that he's confused is like me admitting I'm bald. It's pretty apparent to anybody with a set of eyes. So,
courtesy of Fox Sports, by the way.
But yeah, well, I mean, is he going to be the next Charles Barkley? Because Barkley does a lot of that kind of stuff, just messing up names and not knowing anything about what's going on.
No, I'm not that big
Barkley
of a fan
with concussions.
No, I'm not a big fan of that pregame show. Honestly, I think CBS does a better job. That's just me personally. I think it's just, I don't know, Terry.
Jimmy and Terry are getting old, bro.
I know.
And I know we only got a couple seconds left, and I know we're kind of doing the wind down. I did want to mention, and I don't want to get into it too far. If anybody out there, college football fan, knows the name Kyron Lacey. He used to play for LSU. He doesn't play for LSU right now. And this is what made me think of it with the mental health, is because he killed himself. And he killed himself after he was accused of being in a fatal car crash. He was being basically held responsible for everything. And he was about ready to go to a grand jury and decided that he was going to end it all, and did not want to deal with the legal ramifications thereof. Well, we find out a couple weeks, months later, after he is in the ground, after his parents have mourned his loss, that the badge cam footage shows that he was about 100 feet away from that accident. And he was not going 100 miles an hour. He was going about 65. And we're definitely going to talk about this later on, because we want to talk about how screwed up this country is. This is on the Venn diagram, the screwed up country and sports. They're coming together pretty good. And this is a pretty startling example of bad law enforcement, bad prosecutions, and a bad criminal justice system. And LSU is worse off for it. Lacey's family is worse off for it. Everybody around him is worse off for it because these cops wanted to make an arrest. And we will definitely talk about that in a little bit more greater detail coming up in the weeks to come. Double A, Eli, do we have anything to part with before we ride off into the sunset here?
Real quick, the last thing I'll say too about the mental health stuff, all kidding aside, is like, every one of us, whether we believe it or not, we do have people who love us, people who love you. So
maybe not Aaron Boone, but yeah, I get you.
Except him. But I think if anything were to happen, like if anything happened to you two, like I would be lost, and it's just the same with family and everything like that. So just people do love you no matter what. And again, with this show, with everything we do on the network, like if you need those few moments just to escape or just to be a part of a community, that loves you, like this is it right here. Like this is a part of it. We want to, I know we ran over by 48 minutes today.
That's all.
But
God damn, it's already 11:45. All right, there we go.
The Sunday night game ended. New England won. But yeah, that final two.
They did it.
Oh yeah, Seattle won to Detroit, and then we're tied up 1-1. So yeah, okay.
But
the West Coast games have ended. We should probably finish.
We want to at least provide the smiles. Like if the Browns do well, celebrate with us. When the Browns don't do well, be mad with us. That kind of thing, and not just with local but national stuff too. And we got more stuff coming too. We just want to be that community that embraces mental health, that embraces a community. And I think that's huge, and never should shy away from that ever. And it's a daily thing. It's a daily battle. Some days I take L's. I really do. But we got people who will pick you up, and if nobody else picks you up, you got people here that will pick you up.
Yeah, and just to lead on my final point to add to Double A's final point is something that's been helping me out because I've had just being honest, I had a real rough last couple weeks. Is just waking up and saying 5 positive things I'm blessings I have in my life right now, even if they're little things. And if you can't find 5, find 1, 2 to 3, and just keep expanding. Say 5 things you're thankful for that you're blessed to have in your life that you just want to know what you do without them. Because I'm sure there's at least 1 to 3 out there. And you just start the day on a positive swing rather than a negative swing.
Yeah, for me, I just kind of try to live in the moment. That's something, and I know both of you guys know this. About 6 months ago, I was having double cataract surgery and lost my sight for 3 months, and that was kind of a recalibration. And ever since then, I try to live in the moment. Try not to worry about every single problem that weighs down on me. I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you guys, I'm watching a little Raw is War here on the YouTube TV. I'm having a good day. I got a woman who loves me downstairs and who said the only reason why she would ever leave me is if I voted for Trump. So we're doing pretty good there. You just kind of start out, you just count your blessings, count what you have, be happy where you're at. And I'm not saying that's going to fix everything, but that will definitely help. And the other thing that we will try to do in light of mental health, I will try to talk to the appropriate people, and we will try to get Browns fandom as a diagnosable mental illness. I think that will help out a lot of our listeners and be able to let you guys get the medication that you will need over the next 3 or 4 months. But we'll be with you for those 3 or 4 months. We'll be through the highs and the lows. We'll talk about baseball offseason. Sooner than later, we'll get going on this Cavalier team. I know we wanted to hit it tonight. We had a media day earlier this week, actually on Monday. We will probably in the next couple of weeks have just basically a full NBA season premiere, and we'll actually try to get some sort of guest and some sort of learned voice here to talk to us about what's going on in basketball. But other than that, we're just going to do what you do, keep our eyes open, see what happens in the world of sports, have reactions to it, and then we will all get together here on Sunday night and talk about everything we've seen and get through this crazy, crazy world together. For Anthony Alford, we have Eli Moon here too. I am Rob Rozycki. This is the Main Event on Inside Edge Podcasting Network, and we'll see you when we see you.